Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for our review of The Conjuring 2. This is, of course, tonight's watch, and I'm one of your hosts, Kidney Stone McGee. We got Matt, the hater of aliens in Fargo.
Also known as Sir Deviated Septum. How do you do?
I'm good. We got Tony, the man who would rather be doing anything else right now rather than this podcast.
True.
And we got Luke, a.k.a. Assface Thrasher. Hi, Assface.
Hello, my name today is Fuckhead McPotlux.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Today we are doing the 2016 film The Conjuring 2, directed again by James Wan. This week, Beef will give us the synopsis, because mine was utter cat shit last week. We will give our ratings, I will run us through the plot, and we will discuss next week's movie. Thank you for watching and listening along with us. If you enjoy this podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. Deviated Septum, you can start with the synopsis.
Don't mind if I do. Ring ring, what's that? It's London calling. On this episode of the Ed and Lorraine Warren Files, the dynamic demonologist duo hops across the pond to the haunted Hodgson house, which seems to be inhabited by the spirit of Old Man Nevercracker from Monster House. Let me paint the scene. It's 1976, 5 years after the events of The Conjuring, and the Warrens are investigating the Lutz house, made famous in the Amityville horror. Lorraine enters the further and has a vision of a demon in costume for its role in the stage production of the Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit. Lorraine also has a premonition of Ed's death, the same premonition that left her shaking in her boots years before. Flash forward to 1977 in the London borough of Enfield. The Hodgson family, consisting of approximately 1 million children and a single mother on the verge of a nervous breakdown, attempt to live simple lives in a dumpster of a house and discuss biscuits entirely too often. When Janet, one of the daughters, uses a homemade Ouija board, paranormal happenings begin to disturb the family. Damn it, Janet. The haunting sparks a media firestorm in Enfield that eventually attracts the attention of the Warrens. Lorraine wants to stay uninvolved because she is still shaken from her vision, but Ed wants to help because he has a death wish. The media seemingly uncovers that Janet is possibly being possessed by the ghost of Bill Wilkins, the previous tenant of the home, who croaked and definitely left a stain in the living room recliner. Aided by Morris Gross, an aptly named paranormal investigator, and Anita Gregory, the only sane individual in the movie who believes the Hodgson haunting could be a hoax, the Warrens attempt to get to the bottom of things. A lot of paranormal mumbo-jumbo happens, sometimes including a Tim Burton Slender Man dressed like the love child of Joker and the Riddler. But when Janet is caught on tape faking an incident, everyone leaves and proverbially spits in the faces of the Hodgsons. Through sheer luck and plot contrivance, Ed has an epiphany about the recording of Janet speaking as Bill and triggers a Warren ex machina in the form of a Lorraine vision. She learned that the demonic Mun has been watching the Queen's Gambit and is using Bill as a pawn to haunt Janet for reasons unspecified. Lorraine hadn't been able to see this before because the nun was blocking her abilities of foresight, which is some Phantom Menace-ass bullshit. As the Warrens race back to the Hodgson house, we get a big fat stinky exposition dump where we learn that knowing the demon's name gives you power and dominion over it, because that makes sense. Once at the house, Lorraine realizes two things. First is that this is where her premonition told her Ed would die. Second is that she had written the demon's name in her Bible because the demon had told her in a vision, even though the demon could block her abilities and knew that giving its name would mean certain demise, and oh no, I've gone cross-eyed. Anywho, Lorraine says the name Valak to the demon, and it goes poof, because the key to defeating evil is 5 simple letters, I guess. Everyone is happy again and can go eat biscuits, the end.
Nice synopsis.
That's an amazing synopsis.
Much better than
Very
mine.
good.
Much better than mine.
Thank you.
I like
At
the
least
loogie.
10 times better.
Yeah.
You like the loogie? I've been working on
Yes,
that.
it sounded very realistic.
Let's
Very
hear
good.
your rating, Beef Boy.
My rating is 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. Any explanation?
I think most of my problems I have with this movie are in the latter half, and most notably the last act of the movie. I still think it's a solidly directed movie, but I do have problems, which is why it brings it down.
What did you give the first one?
8.6.
So 8.6 down to a 7.5, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Luke, let's hear yours.
Well, I, again, have no new opinions form into my head, as my rating is a 7.7.
God
We're
damn.
always so close to you.
how close is that to the first one for you?
I gave the first one an 8.25.
Okay.
Okay, so just half worse. Half worse.
Okay. Tony?
I give this movie a 6.75.
Whoa.
I gave Conjuring 1 an 8, and I feel like this movie fails in a lot of ways that Conjuring 1 excelled at. There's a lot of funky stuff going on, a lot of hokey stuff going on, and the plot points just aren't as good. Seems a little reused in some areas, but
Okay.
it's still a good movie.
From continuing the trend from last week, I gave it the highest rating out of anyone here. I mean, I gave the first one a 9.3. I gave this one an 8.4. It's definitely not as good as the first, and it definitely has issues, but I still think it's really good. When it's good, it's really good, and there's some parts I actually like better in this one.
Whoa, hot take.
With like,
there's a scene that's like, ooh.
Well, I'm not even talking about scenes. I'm talking about like how personal it gets with Ed and Lorraine, and how it focuses on one kid. And I really like the actress who plays Janet, and focusing in on certain characters I liked. But then you also have the Crooked Man CGI, which is just, good God. You know?
Mark, I will agree. I do like, one of my favorite parts is the emotional stuff with Ed and Lorraine, so I get that.
Yes, so, okay, I apologize for Matt's background noise if it's...
Sorry, there was a plane flying overhead.
I was about to say it sounds like an airport.
There is an airplane flying overhead, so just give it a second.
It's okay. If it happens throughout.
Are they going to
It's just gonna
London?
happen. Yeah.
London call.
Overall... Go ahead.
Nothing.
I was just going to say, overall, I still think it's a really good horror movie and a really great sequel, but it's, like, not really close to the first.
Right. Well,
okay.
I have thoughts, but I'm going to save them for, like, when we get to those points in the movies.
Sure. I'll start with the plot, okay?
Yeah.
Whew. We start with the Warner Brothers logo as usual, but not as much as the creepy music that I craved from the first one, you know?
Ooh,
we get some Lorraine voiceover, and I just wish it was Tobes Maguire.
I don't understand why we have her voiceover, because there's no voiceover at any other point in the movie, and I
just
don't
like
like
Spider-Man.
it.
Just
Yeah.
like Spider-Man.
I don't like the voiceover and like the text that they constantly. Well, they don't constantly do, but like the text parts of the movie either.
The narration is just, I was like, ooh, why? That seems so not like these movies.
Sure, but it has some cool
see.
camera stuff where it's from outside and it zooms back, so, you know...
The directing was very good, yes.
Yes, I don't mind the voiceover.
Cinematography is good.
Yeah, I don't mind the voiceover. It was a little bit weird, though. So, we're in Amityville, back in 1976. Matt touched this in the plot, and, like, the real murder was just, like, that homeboy who blamed it on demonic possession.
Ronnie DeFeo.
Yeah, what a piece of goddamn fucking shit. And also, shout out to Ed's sideburns in this movie, you know?
Dude,
popping.
I wish I could pull that
They're
off.
popping.
Lorraine goes full Insidious and sees the situation, and she lives in Robbie DeFeo's body as he kills
She
him.
pulls a Will Graham.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like, wow, this is Insidious. I want to say I'm glad that they didn't give this its own movie, because it would have been really easy to be like, let's redo Amityville Horror, but like with the Warrens. I'm glad they didn't do that. But I think the way they showed it, like with him in the mirror with her, was a super cool trick that I
thought it was
really
very
appreciate.
cool.
Yeah, I was
really
like,
liked that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like, obviously he wasn't possessed. 3 of us don't believe, and it's like, it's kind of like, with the real murders, but in the aspect of this movie, I liked it.
It's a great way to portray and just show what happened without, like, us being there for the scene.
And we actually get a hint of, like, what Lorraine's powers are, unlike, kind of like the first one where there's throwing shit at you, so.
Oh, and, she does say one thing that I wanted to make note of. She said, imagine yourself in a halo of glowing white light. It will protect you. What?
I don't understand it.
There's some lines in here where I'm like, excuse me? I don't know what any of, like...
It's like the anti-sea bear circle from SpongeBob. It's just like you draw a circle around yourself and you're safe. Like, I don't get it, but...
So, we see the mom on the bed, And I actually don't like when this is the thing that happens in Insidious, which is also James Wan, where it cuts and their heads are turned a different way.
Oh, jump cuts, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the jump cuts there, and but it does cut to a head turn. Shout out Jamie Bell. He does.
That's a good show. That's a good show.
I need to finish it. Okay,
I
sorry, go
haven't
on.
watched a single episode. I just know he's in it.
I'm a history dork, so I like that show.
So, I do like the cuts of like the jump cuts of them being dead on the bed instead of showing them getting shot. I just don't like the head turn. Yeah, I just don't like the head turn because it does it in the basement later too.
Mark likes dead kids.
How do you feel about the zoom in on like the family picture? It's like boom, dead, zoom in.
I thought it was fine for this beginning part because it's not like actually part of like the main story.
It is a little hokey, but I didn't really mind it.
I could do without it.
I do want to say during one of the pictures, or like they don't, not when they zoom in, but like on a family portrait when they're showing that kid by the staircase, the dad's hands in the pictures have blood on them, and I was like, oh, that's a nice little touch.
James.
And
Pause real quick.
Okay.
Matt, can you turn your mic down maybe just like one little thing? It's just a little bit louder than Tony.
Okay, how's that?
That's better.
Okay. Do you want me to say that part again?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
You could just whatever you're gonna say next.
Okay. Also, the kid on the stairs is based on a real life photo that people have from the Amityville house.
Yes,
Of the kid with his eyes, the glowing eyes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
I like that they included that.
it is a cool, like, I don't think that's a picture of a ghost in real life, but I like that this was included in there. It's a nice
It was like
Easter egg.
the flash reflected off his eyes, and
It was just some kid,
Bly Manor type stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
You know
it was
what it is.
it was cool that they added it because of that picture.
Yeah.
So Lorraine does her good acting again and starts panicking, and she sees that white eyes boy run down the stairs. She goes down to the basement, and shouldn't she learn her lesson by now not to go down basements? I like how she does the walk around the basement, and they all appear behind her, but then they do the head cut again, the jump cut to the heads turning, and I just don't like that. And they don't do it in any other part other than this first part. It's just very insidious to me, and
It is weird. Why did they go so insidious? It's so clearly trying to be like that.
this whole first part was clearly insidious, and then it doesn't feel like that for the rest of the movie.
Did Insidious do better at the box office?
No. Oh no. I was looking at it today. It was nowhere near it. It didn't.
The Conjuring blew it out of the water.
Oh yeah, by a lot. So I also think the chairs kind of look weird in this part where it explodes around. And it kind of looks weird.
Yeah. I didn't even make note of it, but now that you say it, it's a little odd.
Yeah. And she sees his bitch ass die. She wimps out and is like, "Man, I don't want to get any closer to hell." And I'm like, "Motherfucker, you were dealing with a witch last
I was gonna say, that's one of the lines.
This is the straw.
That's one of the lines where I'm like, what is this? It's so gross. It's I don't want to get any closer to hell.
I think her hell is seeing him die, not really her own thing.
That's what I got from it. So
I get it. It is a weird line though because she has to deal with shit from hell all the time.
It reminds me of the Deliver Us from Evil and stuff.
Evil.
That's the type of overly religious stuff that they add in, and it's just weird.
Yeah.
Lorraine has a couple of lines later in the movie that I'll bring up where it's a little too on the nose, where I'm like, tone it down a little bit. We get it, but we'll get to that later.
Sure. I do, but this part is weird, but I do like that this makes it a more personal thing, and it switches roles throughout the movie. From the first one was Ed, no, you shouldn't go do it, and this one she's like, Ed, no, you don't want to go do it. So it switches their roles, and I like that they changed it up. So
I do want to say it does not inspire confidence when you bring someone in to help you with a haunting and she has a panic attack in front of you.
Yeah.
So maybe don't do that.
I do like that the scroll again for the title.
It's exactly like the first one, but why would you change? It was awesome in the first one, so keep it.
Sure,
and then we get some shots of England, and it's all popping music.
Okay,
I like all of this.
I need to get this out there. I love the London Calling album. It's by The Clash. I love that album, and I like that song a lot. That song didn't come out till 1979. And this movie was set in 1977, and that bothers me. In this time period, that song wouldn't have been a thing. So I was like, come on.
But at least it wasn't like they're playing it on the record or anything.
This is true, but I like it in movies when they play music from the time period they're showing, and it was like, you guys are so close.
Sure. But, they gotta do what they gotta do, Matt Beef.
Yeah, whatever. Who cares? Okay.
But I like all this part when we meet Janet, and...
Best English
That was
accent.
impressive.
And she is with her stupid friend that's smoking and way too young to be talking about French kissing boys.
Oh, but also,
How old are these people? How old are
I
these
think they're
characters?
12?
Yeah.
Something like that. The fattest cigarette I've ever seen. Is it a doob? Like, what is it? Like, is it just a regular cigarette?
It's
Because that
a
thing was
Well, no,
fat as hell.
because in England they roll their own.
Oh, that's why. Okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the teacher takes a puff when she catches them. That's like kind of like a tropey thing. When
I
people
will
get
say,
caught.
like,
A
this
little
whole
bit.
plot point is, like, a little weird to me, right? Because it's, like, England, so, like, smoking culture there is, like, more whatever, I guess, and, like, younger people smoke, and it's, like, okay, so it's, like, a problem, the teacher takes it away, and that's fine. But then later on, we get, like, this whole thing where it's, like, it's all over the school, they were caught smoking, and it's, like, this big rumor and scandal and stuff, and then it comes back later, and she's like, Mom, I was holding the cigarette. You have to believe me. And it's just, like, brought back so many times. And it's, like, to show, like, the daughter wants the mom's trust or something. But that doesn't really matter at all in this movie when she's getting fucking possessed and shit. Like,
well,
it's not like the mom's
I-
trust in her helps her, like, not get possessed.
I feel like that's one of those things that it doesn't have anything to do with this movie, but like in real life, if that was actually a thing that happened, that could be a reason why she faked it. Because obviously, they acknowledge that some of it was a hoax in this movie, but like the whole thing was a hoax. And so, like, I think, and I'll just get out my theory right now. I think she was trying to get her dad back and get him back
Yeah.
in the picture by making it seem like shit's going down at their house. So I think that was part of it in real life, and maybe this like trying to get out of trouble because she actually got in real trouble with the cigarette or something like that to like take the blame off of her and make her sympathetic. I don't know.
Is this after the text screen where they, like say a bunch of text to you, and then at the very end they're like, based on a true story?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I hate that so much. I just hate it so much.
You know, these are things that like I brought up a lot in the first movie, so I was like not gonna bring them up now because it's the same problem
It is
that I
the
always
same
have.
thing,
You know,
yeah.
so it's like you guys know how I feel about it.
Yeah, we mostly
We-
all feel the same way.
We actually get to a scene later on where it's Ed and Lorraine on a TV show, and they're talking about the fakeness of
It's
their
so
like
funny.
thing, and I
Yeah.
was like, wow, this is so meta.
I think it's James Wan throwing it out there because I don't even know if he believes in real life. It's just kind of like, hey, this is also a what other people think.
I think James Wan just believes in making a boatload of money.
Yeah,
So he's
well, no,
like,
he
it's
does it.
okay.
He does it. He turned down Fast and Furious 8, which he said was a life-changing amount of money to make this movie because he wanted to go back to do horror instead of do the next Fast and
All
Furious.
right, I take it back. I suck.
He's a G-Mat, and you watch your mouth.
What is life changing money to a man who already has life changing money?
I mean,
what
that
my
is
question
true.
is.
That is true. But he said he
Elon-
would rather do the horror movie than make more money doing the action movie.
I
So
think Elon Musk offered him real estate on Mars.
we
Why? Oh, question. Why do all these hauntings happen to people who have like a ton of kids? It's always a bunch of kids.
because it's easier to fake that way, and none of this is real.
And I think people are also like super stressed out and at the edge of their like sanity when they
Yeah.
have a ton
At
of
the
kids.
edge of their
Maybe.
sanity.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like you can have multiple kids lying and doing different stuff.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking. Kelly was saying something about like the sister was able to do the voice, so she was like, so they were both able to do the voice, so that they could have like faked it a lot that way. And like that picture of her jumping was just her jumping.
It was so clearly her jumping.
Yeah.
But they do address that in the movie at least, so I was
That's-
like, okay, at least you said
They
something.
do.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about this movie is that they address things like, yes, part of, like, of course they're saying part of it's real, but they're like, okay, yeah, they fake some of it. In
Miss,
real life, I believe all of it, but
Miss Bourne identity.
Yeah.
Supremacy,
is
supremacy, beginning
Bourne
for the
supremacy.
first-
Thank you.
First 20 minutes, yeah.
Miss Born Supremacy is my favorite character because she's the only smart one.
Yeah, but then they make her like a bitch at the
I
end.
know.
She like
Yeah.
acts like it, but
I know.
she is right.
They make her a bitch the entire time, to be honest.
They do, but I agreed with her the whole time.
So we meet Janet's siblings, Margaret, Billy, and this other one that
Sunday.
Dude, I forgot the other.
I
boy
forgot this
was
one was a
character.
person until
Yeah.
like later when he like stands up for them and is like going
Yeah.
into the kitchen. I forgot his
They called him
I don't
Johnny
think
in
he
there, and I
does-
was like, "Sorry, go ahead."
I don't think he does anything in the entire movie except that one scene, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
They called him by name in there, and I was like, I forgot he was around. His name's Johnny. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, what the hell?
John Nay.
Because I wrote my notes on my second time watching for this,
Yeah, me too.
and I forgot he was a person. I thought Billy was the one who went in the kitchen. I totally blanked. But we get home and Billy just wants some goddamn biscuits,
Biscuits.
dude. Goddamn, this kid is addicted to fucking biscuits like it's crack.
Okay, general nitpick of the English people in general.
Wow,
How the fuck?
that's just insensitive.
Oh
How-
my
I know
goodness.
that they were called biscuits there first before we started calling them cookies, but how do you look at this nice scrumptious cookie and call it a biscuit?
They
A
prob-
biscuit is a dry ass thing you get from Popeyes that you're gonna choke on.
All right,
That is-
everyone listening from England, send your hate mail to Matt, please.
Send it.
Yeah.
I love your music, but biscuits I just can't handle.
Can you turn your mic down just a little bit more, Matt?
Sorry,
I-
I've been yelling.
It's okay. It just maxed a couple times.
Okay, how about that?
That's good. Thank
Okay.
you. But we cut to a continuous shot of them around the house, and I really like
I
this.
love
Continuous
this
shot.
continuous shot.
Good
This is-
stuff.
it
Yeah,
kinda-
good stuff.
So I liked it because it kind of gives you the layout of the house, right, and kind of lets you know like which room is which and like where is where. What I liked about it is it does that, right? But then later on, I think they kind of like don't have the whole layout of the house really fleshed out as well as they did in like The Conjuring. Like
Sure.
in the cross room, I'm like, I don't know which room that is anymore. Like you kind of get lost in like a room is just.
Well,
a
that
room
was
to you.
Janet's. That was Janet's room at the end of the hall.
Okay, so that was like just like took the beds out of it.
Yes, it looked like a different room, but it was because everything got thrown around, and then they put up all the crosses because it was where everything was
Okay.
going down like Poltergeist.
Sure.
Nice.
So, yeah, I see that though. It was a little bit more clear in the Conjuring one, but
I think in The Conjuring too, it was kind of like everything was more based out in like the bigger rooms of the house. It's like
Yeah.
living room, and then like you had the specific rooms, but then it was also like the basement. And this one, it's just like okay, you have living room, and then like their room, and then it's like these small rooms, and then they don't, and then there's like an outside washing machine part, and it's just weird.
I appreciate that it was very different though. Like no basement, different house, different country. I appreciate that it was like a completely different environment. Still a haunted
Yeah.
house, but it was completely different.
I also want to say I didn't like recognize any actors in this besides Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, and they all did a great job. So props to
did.
them. for
Yeah,
that.
and later I shouted out Janet for like
Yeah.
the swing set part where she's talking with Vera Farmiga, especially.
she's crying,
she's
yeah.
really good. I actually think
She-
she's really good.
Very good in this movie.
Joey King, right?
And, yeah, Joey King.
Joey King Jr.
So while we're doing the continuous shot, so we hear about the Crooked Man song, which is in the toy. The Crooked Man I have problems with later, but I actually really like the song in the toy. It's actually a
I like the
creepy ass song.
So
It's a good song, yeah.
I have problems with the design. The fact that the ghost or the demon takes on the form of the Crooked Man to terrorize Billy, I think is good because that's his speech therapy tool. So like that's how to really
yeah.
be mean to
Oh
him.
my gosh,
But
yeah.
the Crooked Man shows up to Ed later, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's true. I'll agree with that. Well, it's because he was like, I guess, around it, but there's no reason because they could just go around the house. And, yeah,
The
that
whole
makes sense.
point was because it's supposed to be like personal to Billy and to make him really
True.
scared. You know.
True.
I will say that when you compare it to like the music box in the first one, though, it's like definitely less suspenseful.
It's less suspenseful, but I actually really like the song, and that it kept coming back because every time I hear that song, it was like, God fucking damn it, that's a creepy song.
That's how I
I actually
felt,
just
yeah.
liked the song.
I
I
did
didn't
too.
think it was creepy.
Well, I
just
thought it was
actually
creepy, but I
the
liked
song.
it. Yeah. And then later we get to his god awful CGI. Janet is playing with a makeshift Ouija board because she wants to know about her dad, but they get nothing. I like that Margaret isn't rude here because you could have like siblings who are like, "Oh, you're an idiot. It didn't work," and she's just like trying to comfort her, kind of. Like,
But-
it's okay.
Did she really expect that a random ghost would know anything about her father?
She's trying anything.
yeah.
She's trying anything
Yeah.
with beef.
Okay.
We now this is something I think they improved on the first, is that the girls are actually sleeping in the sheets.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I like it.
that's improvement. Janet falls asleep and just hits the fucking floor in the living room.
I love this
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah.
It's such a great transition.
Yeah,
Very nice, very good.
and there's a loud banging on the bedroom door, and Luke, you know, banging. Bangers, Lady Gaga. Come on, Luke, that was
I was about to
that was a softball.
big swing and a miss whiff.
Mommy goes to the laundry and with the neighbor, and it's just like nasty as fuck down there, you know. And it just like explodes essentially, like it just breaks completely. And Ed
begins to
later,
flood.
yeah, it begins to flood. Ed later goes to help. They let that flood for a long time before they get help.
Who just is like comfortable being like, yeah, the basement's flooded. Like, okay.
Also, when they have laundry to do,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta
Yeah,
get a
seriously.
plumber there ASAP, man.
exactly. We cut to Ed and Lorraine on a talk show, and they make this other guest, you know, a chode, but he's right. It is a hoax, and like he's correct.
Yeah.
He just
I
make
wish
him
they
like
wouldn't
an asshole.
have made him such a chode.
Yeah,
Or born Franca Potente, right? That's her name.
I don't
It-
know.
Not
something-
born supremacy.
I think I just called it Born Supremacy. In
Her
this.
yeah, her name's Franca or something. Yeah, I think you're right.
I wish they didn't make him like kind of chodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will say it's interesting because in the first movie, which was 6 years earlier in the world of the movie, Ed was always like, he understood they were going to be skeptics, but he was just like fine
Yeah.
about it. And now that it's
Yeah.
6 years later and they have more publicity, it's interesting how he's changed. Now he's more like aggressive towards them.
That is true. I think that's another thing with the role reversal. But
Yeah.
it's also like strange because that doesn't really make sense for his
I
character.
mean,
It was also in the. Go ahead, Matt.
good.
Oh, I was just gonna say. At first, I was like, "That's strange," but then I was like, "It is 6 years later, and they weren't under media scrutiny before, so I think it's just him being overwhelmed." So I was like, maybe."
Sure. Don't even.
I liked in the Conjuring one where he has a reasonable take, and like when they're giving the class, it's like, oh, most things like can just be explained regularly, right? It's like most things are just some regular things, and there's an answer for them. And then you like change it to this talk show where like he's getting attacked, and he doesn't like take a reasonable approach to it. He's just like, no, you're just a skeptic, and you're a liar. You're a liar.
Yeah, it is interesting too. The guy said Ed's never seen a house that he didn't think was haunted, which we've seen to not be true. And Ed doesn't refute that. He just goes on the offensive and goes like, "Fight me." So
I will also say this. This kind of bugs me when it comes up later on when they have the video of Janet faking everything, is that to get anything by the church, they need concrete evidence. You know what would be good to prove to everybody that this stuff is real? This concrete evidence. Where is this concrete evidence?
It doesn't
wonder.
exist. It doesn't exist.
it lives in their heads.
I mean, why don't they just show him the fucking video of the guy's tummy being burned with an upside down cross? I mean, I feel like that's
yeah,
evidence
right?
enough. Okay, back at the house, Janet and Billy are singing the Crooked Man song to help Bilbo stutter. The toy is pretty cool.
Did you say Bilbo?
Yeah,
Bilbo?
yeah, Bilbo.
He said Bilbo.
And then fucking Billy just, goddamn him with the biscuits, just shoves his fucking face with them. It's like, dude, chill out on the goddamn fucking biscuits.
And I speak from experience. If you keep eating biscuits in bed, you will wake up with crumbs in your butt crack. It's gonna happen.
You will, and then he doesn't brush his teeth either. It's like, come on, my guy.
There's a scene later on. There's
Oh
a
my
scene
God.
later on where Billy tries to comfort the mom by giving her biscuits. And at
Yeah.
that point, I wrote in my notes, Billy be liking biscuits too.
Way too much.
It's just one character trait.
Yes, seriously. He
That's
gets
my problem. That's my problem with like horror movies, and like problem with the Conjuring one too, is the character development and like the world building is so bad.
Which is funny because it's quote unquote based on the true story.
Yeah.
Well, they had to make up all this shit. You know that.
Oh yeah.
Billy gets up in the middle of the night because he's been just chomping on biscuits all night. And he looks outside and it's straight prisoner of Azkaban out there.
I just wrote always with the fog. Like there's never not fog.
That literally, if you took that one shot of outside with the fog, you could just insert that into Prisoner of Azkaban. It would work perfectly fine.
It really would.
Janet and Margaret are in the room, and this part is creepy to me, where
Yeah,
Janet's
it
just
freaks
sitting
me
up
out.
on her bed, and she's like,
this part was.
"This is
yeah,
my
this part
house."
was creepy.
Mark, I
Yeah.
swear to God, you did that something like that in a hotel room one time.
Yeah.
I remember.
Did I eat any biscuits before bed?
I don't know, but you definitely had crumbs in your butt crack. And I was just I hadn't fallen asleep yet, and you sat straight up, mumbled something incoherently, and then laid back down, and I was like, all right, what the hell is happening?
What if you do if I actually said, "This is my house"?
Dude,
Like
if you said,
years before, and
Yeah.
then you saw it in this movie? that'd be
if
so
you
cool.
said some of the, like she says, I'll break her neck, which also,
God.
if you even if you think your sister's dreaming, if she says some stuff like that, you're like, you should probably get checked out by a psychologist. 'Cause you are having some bad thoughts.
I also, the demon says that he's playing a game with Billy, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's because he was about to scare him downstairs because Billy was awake. So he
Yeah.
says he's playing a game with him.
Yeah.
Margaret goes to bed, and then Janet's just standing over her.
Dude, that's that
Creepy.
part freaks
I will
me out.
say-
Yeah, that was. So...
I will say before that, like before remembering, because this is the second time I watched this movie, before remembering that it's like actually the demon behind all of this, and that he's just like a vessel or whatever, which I don't really understand either. Like the whole
Same thing as the first one. I
Can-
don't understand.
Can ghosts possess people? Can witches who are ghosts possess people? Is it only demons? But the demons use the ghost to possess people. Blah 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 blah. But when he was like, "This is my house," and then like that was kind of like the thing about it is like it being his house again. I'm like, come on, these ghosts and their property. What the hell?
Except this one took a different direction with it later.
Sure, yeah.
Billy the kid goes back upstairs and he passes by the chair, and then you could just see fucking
Ooh.
Bill. Also, come on, rename the little kid. They're both named Bill.
They're both named Bill, I know.
The ghoul is just sitting there, right? Which I like because it's not a jump scare, but it's like he's just sitting there. It's
I
creepy.
like that it's not acted upon by any character. It's just there for us to see in the corner, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on. I think mics are messed up. Tony sounds quiet, Matt sounds loud, and Luke sounds quiet too.
Shit.
Ghouls and goblins, ghouls and goblins. Bum, bum,
Luke,
bum,
could you get
bum,
any
bum,
closer?
bum, bum,
What are you
bum,
talking-
bum, 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 bum.
Do you want me to move
My
further away?
my mic is the same. No, my mic is the same as it has always been.
Tony, your sound
Like I can't turn it up or down. Like it's all the way up, and I'm like sitting with it in my mouth right
Okay,
now.
Matt, you might just need to turn down because like they can't get higher.
If anything, Tony sounds louder than like you two to me. It's like I don't
Oh,
know.
really? Well, you sound louder than him and Luke to me. I don't know why.
Check the
How's
record.
this? Is this too low?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
No, that's Witsky.
That's good. Tulowitzki.
Wits-
Nice one.
Nice one.
Okay.
Nice one.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
And Billy, like, on his way up, also passes by his fucking tent. I was like, dude, why do you have a tent in the goddamn fucking hallway, you fucking creepy ass kid? Because that's just
So he can eat his
straight up, that's
biscuits
straight
in
up Sixth
peace.
Sense, though. That's straight up Sixth Sense, okay?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I've heard that's a scary scene in The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, he hits his toesies on the fire truck because he can't open his goddamn eyes, and then he kicks it into the tent. And he's, like, super creeped out by it. And then the fire truck, like, rolls to his room.
Room like
I'm
right
like-
into the doorway.
And I'm like... And then he brings it back to the tent. I'm like, you dumb idiot. Just keep
Yeah.
it in your room and shut the door.
Why the hell would you go investigate the tent? If I was that kid, I'd be like, no, I'm not getting anywhere close to that.
It'd make more sense if it was Johnny, because Johnny later tried to stand up for them. So it's
I
like,
get
that would
but
make
Jo-
more sense.
At this point in the movie, Johnny is not a character.
Yeah, I don't know
Johnny
where he
is
sleeps.
non-existent.
Where does he sleep?
Yes.
I don't
Johnny
know.
is the real ghost.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that. And then the demon ghoul thing screams at him when he goes
Oh,
to the tent.
I don't like that part
The
because
scream wasn't really creepy.
it rolls the truck back out to him and he doesn't freak out at all until it screams. I was like, wouldn't the just have them roll the truck back out to him and have that be what freaks him out? The scream's overkill.
Maybe he thought it was Johnny.
Johnny. Yeah, Johnny sleeps in the tent.
Johnny sleeps in
That's
the
where he
tent.
sleeps.
So I like this because like he runs into his mom's room, and in a typical horror movie, it'd be the end of it when she checked the tent. But then she hears the creaking of the chair. So I like that.
Yeah.
Like not like a normal typical horror movie. It continues to happen, but then fucking Janet's ass is in
Dude,
there.
what I will say is I know that she probably thinks that he just had a nightmare and she doesn't believe him. But if your child says there's a man in my tent, why would you investigate with no weapon? She just went bare hands. Just let me go check.
If she has nothing in her room, it's like
Grab
what do you do?
anything. Grab a candle.
Grab
so you
Johnny
can throw
because
it at him.
just grab Johnny and hit him with.
Just
What I
torpedo
don't-
Johnny at him.
What I actually don't like about this that happens later on in the movie, like multiple times, is like, so something happens to someone, they get an authority figure, and then it happens again to them. And it's like not like this doesn't really happen in scary movies, but I feel like it doesn't happen for a reason, because like, oh, Janet, something happens, or the beds are shaking, and then the mom comes in, and then boom, something happens. So then boom, instantly the mom believes in the ghost. The mom gets the cops, and then boom, instantly something happens, so then the cops believe in the ghost. And so it's like, if this ghost was actually really smart, he wouldn't want all these people like knowing that he's actually there. And it just seems so silly because it all leads to them actually getting help from Ed and Lorraine.
Is that Bill trying to do it because the demon
He's
is
trying to get to
making
him, so well, I think he's trying to. I think because he said when they played the tapes back and forth, like it
He said,
said,
"Help, it won't let me go."
help, it won't let me go." So I think he's trying to contact them, like get to them, like to scare them, so then they would get help, so then he could get help to get out of there. So
But
he's
then
trying to scare them,
Why does
Okay,
he
okay.
bite her?
to scare them more, because in real life she bit herself,
Most likely.
I think it's
or
weird.
it was Billy thinking she was a biscuit.
I think that's what Johnny's been doing. He's a feral animal just running around biting people, sleeping in the
Maybe
attic.
that's honestly, maybe that's how it is, because you have to take a real story that's like fake and then somehow like match a fantasy story to it to make it seem real, right?
Yeah. So we have Janet who's sitting on the couch on the chair, and then her mom takes her, and then we do a cool pan to the window, and then zoom back where then she's just sitting on the couch and it's day.
Love
Again,
that transition.
dude, James Wan is just such a G. And then the channels just go on the fritz like it's Channel Chasers, and then it goes to politics, and I'm like, oh, it really is a horror movie.
British politics in the 70s is what scares you.
Politics in the 70s.
I get so confused on the lost remote because that makes no sense.
Okay.
How the remote gets over there, the ghoul just picks it up and brings it to his chair.
With that, I don't mind him changing the channels, but when she looks back and it's levitating and then he drops it, I thought that was overkill. It was
that
kind
was
of corny. I was like,
Overkill.
I did like him in the background though.
I thought it was a cheap jump scare. I was like,
No,
okay.
the background of the TV.
Oh,
the TV.
that? No, I like that. I thought you meant behind her later when he's like, my house. Like, I was like, okay.
I have that written down. It was so funny. It's like it's like she's doing whatever, and then his like old man face. Okay, so I like his old man face in like these scenes, but then I forget what scene it was, but it's like, oh, it was when he pulls her back from the doorway and then it shows his demon face. I thought that was like, it was like another witch thing to me. Like, oh man, that looks cheap as fuck. Like,
And
that doesn't look good.
he basically goes, blah. And that's
Yeah, he does. But he jump scares, so he goes, my house, and I'm like, oh come on, that's so.
He had
like,
to
dude.
remind her that this is his land.
Luke,
It's his
dude.
land.
Oh,
So
Mark, I will
cute.
say though, his reflection in the TV was cool, and that's why I wanted that to be the whole scare. Because that's scary enough.
Yeah.
Like the rest is like too much. You're like, oh, okay.
Sure.
You know what I thought would have been better if like she was watching some cartoon or something for a kid, and then it kept changing to like some old people TV. That's funny. Like she just keeps changing the channel back
Wheel
to
of
like the little
Fortune.
kid, and then it goes back to Wheel of Fortune, and it's like, what the fuck is this old TV show that keeps going? Oh, my house, my TV show.
My TV. We cut to Ed and Lorraine, and Ed is just like an incredible painter. Okay. Like,
Oh,
Jesus
okay.
Christ.
Very
This part is
talented.
fucking bullshit, dude. So dumb. Okay, I like. Wait, let's go around and say our opinion of the nun's design.
I'm assuming you don't like it.
I like it in certain situations, but every time like she screams
Yes.
or like wah, it's
That
like,
is-
it doesn't look good to me.
My
I-
feelings exactly.
I like it other than the mouth, because the mouth reminds me too much of it. CGI.
Yeah.
Oh.
I like
Yeah.
her regular design. You're right, like it's like the pointy teeth, and I was like, what is that?
Luke,
But oh yeah, go
Hey.
ahead, Luke.
I didn't really mind it. No thoughts, head empty. Okay, go on.
I want to
you
say
said
this. It's like
nothing this entire
so-
podcast.
it's like so contrived. It's like so contrived. Just it like feels like something just for the viewer. This part where he's like, I have this dream of this demon and I'm gonna paint it, and here's a creepy painting. I like the scene that it sets up later on, but this part seems like, okay, this is literally just for the viewer, and this has nothing to do really
Ooh,
like
talking about
advance
just
the story.
talking about just for the viewer. I get that it's an interesting Easter egg to have Valak written twice in the background in the scene, but it doesn't make any sense in the actual story. Why would that be
Yeah.
there, and how would they not notice it? Because clearly
Because
that's not
ghouls
there
can
always.
move stuff around, Matt.
But they
You
would
know.
notice that it's right in
Matt.
front of their stupid faces. So like
Rules.
I don't I understand like the Easter egg, but I don't like it. Like it doesn't really make sense. And there's another thing in this scene. Lorraine is like all freaked out still, right? And instead of explaining her fears to Ed, she goes, "Please just trust me." Why?
Yes.
Explain
I,
yourself.
no, 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 I
Yes.
like that because
I don't.
if she says it's because I'll see you die, he's just gonna tell her to fuck off. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna. It's gonna be fine. If she says just trust me, then he's gonna think it might be something with her. So then he'll believe her more than if she just said it's
No,
because
but
you're
why
gonna
doesn't-
die.
Why doesn't she say something like, if that's like the case, she should just say something like, trust me, but like that thing you just painted is a fucking goddamn demon and it's gonna fuck
But the
one of
reason-
us up or something.
Sure, but the reason why is because he, like later, she tells him, and he's like, I don't care, I'm going anyway. Which is why she just says, trust me, because she knows he's like that. He doesn't care if
There should be
he's threatened.
something involved with the painting though, because like that painting actually comes back to like kind of get her later on, and it's like he made this thing, and she's not gonna explain anything about that to him.
Sure.
Look, this is the way I felt about it. It felt like in Spider-Man 2 when instead of telling Harry your dad was the Green Goblin, that's why he's dead, he just went, "This is bigger than us," and ran away.
Yes, that's the same
Sure,
feeling,
sure.
dude. It's the same feeling.
Sure, I think there actually is a reason, but
Okay. I still didn't. I was like, dude, it takes 2 seconds to be like, yeah, it causes you big time danger.
Or it causes me big time danger.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
could've
you
just
could
lied.
lie.
Just
Like,
Yeah.
no,
say
big
that
time
it causes
danger.
me
Big time danger.
when she walks away, I like his line of, I know I'm no Picasso, but I didn't know it was that bad, because that seemed like a real thing that a person would say.
I think that was. It almost sounds like Patrick Wilson ad libbed because if he says shit like that, like
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounded good though.
Lorraine's like, she didn't want to do investigations anymore. We cut back to Janet, and she ties herself to the bed with a jump rope, and I'm like, that's a pretty good idea, Janet.
Not bad. Not
Not
bad.
a bad idea. Except she gets tossed right off the fucking bed anyway.
I also like that transition though. Again, where it's just like cut to her going boom on the floor. Like
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that was good.
There's a loud knocking heard on the door again. She gets a flashlight, shout out Pitch Perfect 2, and goes downstairs. The chair starts rocking, and she
Ooh.
runs to her room.
A question. One, when I was that age and I heard a knocking, there's no way I would open the door if nobody answered when you went who.
Yeah.
And two, how? Why did Billy not take his tent down after the scare? You can see it in the background of this scene. I was like, dude, I would have taken that shit down immediately.
I don't. So I agree with the 10. I don't so mind the knocking and checking because she has siblings, and a lot of siblings do dumb shit, and she has 2 brothers, and one of them is probably just looking for biscuits all times of the night. So she probably just thought it was him sleepwalking doing that shit.
Okay, I guess that is fair.
But the 10, I agree with.
Yeah.
And so let's see.
She ran back.
She runs back. She puts the chair behind the door, and then like it's right next to her bed in the matter of milliseconds. It's so quick. The chair's like right next to her.
Yes.
She
Demon
hides
powers be crazy.
in these movies. Demon powers be
They'd
crazy.
be crazy.
She hides underneath the covers, and it's like, dude, turn off the flashlight, maybe. You know?
It also like she looks back and then the door's wide open, wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 She hides under the covers. I already said that. He rips the sheet off her, and Margaret wakes up. She says there's no one, and then the beds just start going fucking haywire on her.
Yeah,
They just
they
start
do.
like, and I like the way this really looks, like the directing of this, where she's like,
This
"What is
looks
wrong?"
practical.
And then it's like, "But it is. It definitely is." Like, and I thought it looked really good.
I also like the whole scare of her hiding under the covers and it being ripped off. Because as a kid, when you would hide under the covers if you were scared, that was your biggest fear. So watching that, I was like, this is effective.
Yeah, they run to their mom, and she's like, "Oh, you guys are scaring each other," because she finds the Ouija board. And then again, this would probably just be the end of it in any other horror movie. But that the dresser moves and shuts the door, and she straight up poops her pants. She poops
everywhere.
Luke and I are on the same page.
Question. The mom. Okay, so I know in real life one of the kids probably bit Janet to make it look like that, right? But in this movie, that's clearly an adult person's bite mark. It's huge.
Yeah.
And the mom is still you guys are just freaking out. I was like, she has a bite mark on her neck.
In real life, it could have just been one of the kids too.
Absolutely.
We don't know. She could have been a part of the hoax too.
In real life, it could have been a crackhead.
True.
Did you see that house? There's definitely at least a crackhead or two somewhere around.
In a crevice.
I do
somewhere.
I do like that they booked it out of there. I was like, in
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah,
horror
they got
movies,
out.
you're like, why wouldn't you just leave the house for a second?
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
just book it across the street, which is good.
Matt?
There it goes.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. I can edit it.
Hello?
You don't have to retalk.
Okay.
You don't have to retalk because
Did I
the way-
cut out?
Yeah, but I can edit it the way it happened. It was fine.
You could also just cut that part. I don't care.
It's fine.
Whatever.
So the fuzz shows up, and then they hear things in the walls. It's probably some goddamn fucking raccoon. And then it honestly just sounds like the ghoul is having bowel movements. It's that's the way it sounds. And then the chair that she had just moves and puts itself back into place.
That's
and they're
poltergeist.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
no, we're fucking out of here. They just
Dude.
deuces right out of there. They're like, not for us.
Based on the way the cops looked, I wrote cops are not Nicholas Angel.
Nice comp.
Hot fuzz. But I do like the way they reacted because they're like, there's nothing we can do. We'll write a report and we'll back you up. if
Yeah, I
anyone
thought it was
asks, but
funny.
I don't know what else to do, man.
Yeah.
They're like, we're insta-gone.
yeah.
We cut back to the Warrens, and Judy is making bracelets, and the nun walks in the hallway behind her.
Oh, dude.
So she senses this, and have you guys seen Annabelle Comes Home, the 2019 one?
No.
She in that movie, she's in it, she's the main character is Judy, and they talk about how she also has powers like her mom, and so that's why she was able to sense this. So
It's
they
interesting.
they delve into that later, which also was not true in real life.
It's-
it was, but they
It's
talk about this. So
That's interesting that you say that because when Katie and I were watching this, we were like, "Do you ever think that Judy's going to be the focus of one?" Because we'd never seen
she's-
that one.
yeah.
So we didn't know that. That's interesting.
it's not good. It's literally just a kind of scarier Goosebumps movie.
Hey, I like Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
I mean,
Goosebumps is
I mean,
the shit, dude.
it was better than the first Annabelle, but it was it just
Yeah.
straight up was Goosebumps. It was kind of funny.
Did Slappy make an appearance?
I wish.
I don't know if this is intentional.
Annabelle is slappy. Annabelle is strip slappy.
Slappy was scary, dude.
Yes, he was.
I don't know if this is intentional, and I'm probably reaching because they're different colors. But the way that Judy was dressed reminded me of Raggedy Ann. And
I see it.
it's not the same colors, but it's the overalls and stuff with the stripes. I was like, it reminds me a little bit. I don't know if that was intentional.
That makes sense. I still,
And also, Valak is spelled out again behind them, which I still don't like.
God damn it.
I'm still fine with it. Lorraine looks up and Judy is gone, and she's in the hallway, and she's like, "Mom, who is that?" And I'm like, "Lorraine, just look down the hallway. How did you not see her?" And I like the makeup here. Again, I like the makeup before the teeth come out.
It's also weird. It was like, Mom, who is this?
It
Fucking
was
7
creepy,
foot tall
though.
nun demon.
It was creepy though, dude. Could you imagine seeing that in your hallway? I would
You know what that
shit
reminds me
myself.
of, Mark? I used to
Grandma
be
Sherry's
scared.
hallway.
Yes, that's exactly
Yes.
what I was going to say. The long hallway at Grandma Sherry's house.
Yes.
That's exactly what you would imagine standing down there. Freaked me out. All right.
Apparently, originally, it was supposed to be an actual normal demon design, and then James Wan decided to go with the nun to make it I think less cliche and make it. Kelly was telling me to make it Lorraine questioning her faith a little bit more too, having to deal with a nun.
That's something that I was going to bring up later. She does say it took on the shape of a nun to attack my faith, right? But that means that the movie The Nun doesn't make sense because it doesn't always look like a nun. It only did that
The
for
movie The
Lorraine.
Nun didn't happen. Okay, we don't acknowledge.
I've
I was
never
going to
seen
ask,
it,
how
so-
does this tie in with the movie The Nun?
The Nun is way back when. Tony, I've watched that whole movie and I can't remember a single scene other than what was in the trailer. Like,
Okay.
it's so forgettable, and it was bad. It was very bad.
Okay.
It was like Annabelle 1 type of bad.
No.
Yes, it was.
But it's in the
really bad.
James Wanaverse.
It was in the James Wanaverse, but it was pretty horrid.
Ugh. Okay, continue.
So they follow her. Lorraine follows her into the room, and she looks at Ed's painting, and then religious music starts playing. I really like the religious music in the background because
It's
it
the
creeps.
song from the end of It's a Wonderful Life, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
is it?
Movie?
I've
Yeah.
never seen that movie.
What?
What?
You haven't seen It's a Wonderful Life?
When would I have seen that?
This guy.
Wait, when did you
time.
see it? Yeah, I don't know.
Christmas time.
I watched it this
put it
Christmas
on.
for the first time.
Okay,
I
yeah,
just
so
watched
get
it.
off my back about it. I'm meaning to do it. I didn't know that, so I was like, I thought it was just like a choir. I was like, why do you have that taped? So I didn't know that. Also, why is there a painting of the Perrin house? Is it just because it's a vision of hers?
I think so.
Because it wouldn't make sense for him to paint that now because this is 6 years later. So I was gonna write it off to it's a vision,
True.
but I don't know.
She probably had it as a vision, drew it before, and it's just been in that room or something. I don't know.
And did Ed actually hang up the painting of the nun, or is that also just the vision? Because why
I
the
think
hell
that's
would
just
you?
vision.
Yeah, why would you
that's
hang that
just
up? Yeah.
Yeah, well, because
will
I don't think
say-
any of this actually happened.
Right.
I really like the setup here and like how they're like panning across the room and then like the jump scare is like it's like boom the painting blah 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 blah. But I remembered it differently.
I did
so
too.
I thought it
I
was
did too.
better than it was. I thought
too.
she came out of the
Me too.
painting.
I don't remember
So
her
did
running
I.
with
Yeah.
her.
Got her.
So
Yeah.
And then I saw it again and then you go back and you watch it slowly and it looks fucking hilarious cuz it's not she's just holding the painting in front of her and
Yeah,
running
if you
towards her.
freeze frame it, it's pretty
And
good.
that's like, it's like, oh my, that's so funny. It's just like, I'm running at you with this picture.
I will say though, it got us the first time, and we remembered it creepier. Meaning, I think it did a pretty good job, but now it looks sillier than it did back then. Because I remember her coming out of it, but I still like the shadow going to it, and her fingers going around it, and the music,
yeah,
like the music in the back. I like all that.
I will say,
Then, you know.
it is kind of funny that Lorraine watched the shadow walk all the way over there, grabbed the painting, and it was still caught off guard when it ran at her. I was like, you didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I remember her coming out of it too, Tony. I
Right?
was
I
very,
don't know.
very confused. But
And it's also like
and
these
her
things-
mouth comes right now, and I don't like that either. So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like that either. And I think so. I think a big part of like horror movies is the music and the sound, of course. And so like when you take this scene and you like go, oh, it's the music, and it's like slowly going around, and then it's suspenseful, and then when the scare happens, there's like a music cue to do with it. But if like you think about it, just in like normal like time, Lorraine is watching this happen, and then it's just like going around, gets to the painting, and then it goes after her, and then she's like still surprised, but there's like no music cue to like scare her, and it's like this is gonna happen.
true. Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
So, I do like all of it except for the way, like the running was. It was weird. It got weird.
But you're right.
and I
it
don't-
did- It
ahead,
got
Matt.
me the first time in the theater also. So you're right about that. It is effective because we all remembered it, you know.
And we knew it was going to happen. And then since we remembered it differently, it looked sillier. But I still think it was effective because
Yeah.
the way we remembered it was scary. So
Right.
I think this is the problem with like scary movies in general, depending on like what route they go, and like the route that The Conjuring goes or the route that Insidious goes. It's kind of like it's not rewatchable that much because like you already know everything that happens. You already know if like this suspenseful part doesn't pay off or if it pays off, because like when you're watching it for the first time and you get this really suspenseful part but there's not a jump scare, you're like, oh, okay. But like during the entire time, like you're anxious and like the anxiety is building up and you're like getting scared, but like, and then it doesn't pay off. It's like, okay, I'm safe in this scene, but then in another scene you might get jump scared, and then when you watch it for a second time, and I can't like even imagine watching it like in quick succession, you'd know what every scene is like and like what every jump scare is, because just watching it like for a second time, like multiple years after I watched it the first time, it's like significantly less good to me.
I think part of that is just it's a product of the trend of horror movies now in this was the 2010s, you know. they rely so much on like jump scares that get you the first time, and those things don't hold up so much as like. Well, one of my favorite horror movies, if not my favorite one, is The Thing from 1980, and that's based solely around paranoia and suspense. So that still kind of like holds up because it's not just trying to go blah and scare you.
That's why I like movies like Halloween.
Yeah. But I will say, I think the story of this one, besides some of the things at the end that I'll talk about, the story in itself is still interesting. So like it's still rewatchable, but it's not as scary, not nearly.
I agree with everything. I think the first one does more creepy scenes without having to have a jump. And
Yeah.
that's why I think that
think-
one's like more of a I think that one's a masterpiece.
the
I just
first
like that one
one-
so much.
Like, especially like watching them like very close to each other. I think the first one's a lot better in terms of everything. Because I
agree.
think like playing hide and clap and stuff like that will still like
Ooh, that's
get
creeping me
the
out just
same-
thinking about it.
like the same feeling that you get compared to this one where it's like you don't have like the same suspense or the same build up.
True, but in terms of a sequel, I think it's still pretty good because sequels can just be goddamn awful.
Yeah,
so.
let's be honest, the bar's kind of low for sequels.
Yeah,
So.
I like how different this was. It just
Yeah.
wasn't as good. Okay. Anyway, she's in the basement again. So like the thing ran at her, the nun ran at her. She's in the basement again, and religious music starts playing, and then it cuts to her, and she's carving into her Bible, and this just reminds me of Harry Potter stabbing into Tom Riddle's diary.
Yes.
She sees
Chambers.
Ed get impaled by like the biggest fucking tree of all time, just right through his
It looks
goddamn.
it
looks like
looks
a
bad
rock.
to me. The
It looks
tree
like a
looks
big old
bad
rock.
to me.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't like how the tree looks. It looks like obviously like a prop or something. To
Sure.
me. But then I also don't like that she gets the demon's name during this
Oh.
scene, and then that's what she needs to just like
Oh.
destroy. It's like
Tony.
It's like okay,
Right.
so to destroy a demon, all you need is its fucking name. You don't need
This-
no Catholic priest. You don't need no exorcism. You just need its name, and it will just give you its name like all the time.
This-
And then it's also strange because in other media, when like you like read stories or you watch other stuff, it's like the demons always give their name. They're like, I'm Albert Pujols and I'm a demon. Ah!
Wow, just
And then
oust
it's
him
like,
that.
Ouch.
and then you're like, oh shit, he's giving me his name, and it's like a scary name, and this is a demon. Oh, wait a second, that's all I need to defeat him? Oh, your name is Albert Pujols. And then he's like, fuck, how did you know? Wow, I'm condemned back to hell.
Tony, this is my biggest issue with this movie, which is why I said, like, that end part, they just go, oh, if you have the name, it gives you power over it. Oh, it gave you its name in a vision? I thought it could block your powers of sight. Like, why would it give you its name? Like, it
so-
doesn't...
Right.
It's like such a free win. In Conjuring 1,
Yeah.
I felt like they deserved
They
the
earned
win.
it. Yeah, yeah.
They,
Not
like-
only
yeah.
did they try to exercise, then she had to hold her head and show
Hold
her
her
the
head and
memory,
give her
all of
memory.
this. She had to puke it back up. All this
Yes.
nasty
Dude.
ass stuff.
And then you're like, this one, the foe is supposed to be greater, but the foe is defeated in the most easiest way possible.
The showdown lasts 30 seconds. Like,
Right.
yeah, that's... I think that it's not even like an ex machina. It's just lazy writing. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, how do we defeat this enemy? Oh, well, you just need its name. Wait, how does she get the name? Oh, she got it before in the movie earlier on. It's like,
It
I
literally
would be,
told her.
I would be interested to read the case files to see which parts of these that she said were true, because I'm wondering if like she says some of this bullshit's true. Like I yelled its name at it and it worked. Like if she says shit like this, and then that's why they put it in the movie because her files said it, and she's just bad. She's bad at writing. You know.
That sounds like some Santa Monica Pier psychic thing, where like if you say its name 5 times, you will cleanse your energy. And
Yeah,
you're like,
but I
"What?"
mean, like, it could just be the real Lorraine making up a bad story in the real
Yes.
reports, and then they use it in the movie. So I would be interested to see what she said happened, and then if they changed it, or if it's just bad, and then they kept it the way she said.
I
know?
think my problem is if it's bad in the case, they're still like making a movie about it, and it's like their job to make it better, or like take a liberty with it or something. You're already taking so many liberties with it anyways. So that's just like no matter what happens, like originally, I still feel like it's a knock on the movie. And then another thing I don't like is that Bill Wilkins has to like speak to her in a riddle to be like, oh, it's the name is the key. I didn't understand that part either because it should have
I think
been
it's
like
because she was blocking him from telling him straight up. I don't know. I don't understand it completely, but I thought that's what they were saying.
I thought what they said was they had to leave the house for him to talk to her. Like he couldn't talk to her while they were at the house or something.
Right,
so that's why he had to get them to leave. But then he also has to say it in a riddle, and it's not explained. Like that part isn't explained why
my
it has
God.
to be in the riddle.
The riddle is also another big problem for me. If he was able to say anything to them, why didn't he just straight up be like, "Yo, there's a demon"? Like, why are you talking in riddles?
Because he needed them to. I guess I don't know.
It's like not explained. My problem is if there was an explanation for it, it'd be fine. But it's just not explained, and it's just like you're supposed to.
Kind of
just
the problem
go
with
with
Annabelle in the first movie too. How they got to Annabelle, why she was there, like why the demon let her out. Like it's the same type of thing. The nun like kind of has that same feeling as Annabelle in the first one.
And that's never a good thing.
Right. So we some guy talks to the mum and tells her to get the story out to the public, and we get all these people lying about what they saw, which I appreciate because it was a hoax. So all these people are just fucking lying. So I like that. And then the constables were the only ones that didn't lie because they like actually
They
saw
saw
that,
something,
but it
yeah.
seems fake because everyone else like was lying
Yeah.
clearly. You know.
Yeah.
So we meet Anita. That was Born Supremacy.
Yeah.
And some guy who belongs in Harry Potter, Maurice.
His name is Morris. His name is Maurice, but they pronounce it like Morris Gross, which is
Yeah.
perfect because he looks gross.
That's just mean.
Whoa,
Mean.
that's rude.
Nice.
That's just rude.
Everyone from England,
That's
send your
just
hate
rude.
mail to Matt. Calling your people gross.
Your people. Whoa.
You're the one who said it, not me.
I said he was gross.
You also said that they should change their fucking language
For their
for
vernacular.
biscuits. Yeah,
Biscuits when they had it first.
I
They had it
stand-
first,
they
Matt.
did have it first. We changed it to cookie. What does cookie
Yeah.
even mean?
It means you cooked it, which is
That's
such an
lazy.
American thing.
That's
Yeah.
so lazy.
Lazy.
Biscuit is so much
lazy.
more fun. We should bring it to America. What do you
Biscuit?
You know what? I'm
Yeah.
forever calling cookies biscuits. In
Me
front of
too.
Matt.
Oh,
Fuck.
yeah, okay.
Just
fine.
to spite Matt.
I'll do it to spite myself.
Morris and Anita go to interview Janet, and they ask some questions, and then she gets like possessed, and the lights all flicker. And then I really like Bill's voice through her. Actually, it sounds all gross and nasty. And then we learn that he's Bill number 2, who died in the chair in the corner. The mom
Yeah.
says to leave them alone, and Bill answers, "Shut up, you old cow," which is hilarious because in reality it's just Janet saying it to her.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Also,
what
Okay, go ahead, Tony.
I was gonna say, this is kind of where the parts in like The Conjuring or like other parts like I don't understand, right? Because like we hear this voice of Bill, and it's like this reverbed demonic voice with like hella editing on it, but like. Do the people in that world hear it like that, or are they just hearing like an old guy voice?
Like an old guy voice
see.
coming out of her, I guess.
Because like my problem is, so if it's like the demonic voice that we hear, it's like obviously a human can't make those like that voice. Like it's like editing or demonic powers, blah 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 blah. So it's like obviously as soon as you hear her talk, you're like, oh shit, yeah, she's fucking possessed. That's like no way she makes that. But then like they like don't believe her, and so like do they hear just like a regular old man voice that is like believable that like it could come from a little
we hear
girl?
The tape. We
It
hear the tape at
confuses
the
me.
end, the real tape at the end. At
The
the end
real-
credits.
The real tape sounds like something that a normal person could make with their mouth.
Yes. And so,
Yeah.
like, that's what they were hearing, Tony, because they actually show it.
Okay, so it like that's what it confuses me, because it's
Oh,
like
they're just trying to be creepier by making it a little bit more demonic and all that
Would it
stuff.
help?
yeah.
Would it help to let you know that this is a movie?
No, I would not.
Oh, okay. I wanted to bring up 2 things about Janet here. One, she snarls like a dog, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yes, she does.
2, when she keeps going, Bill, Bill, Bill. I just kept thinking of Bill Nye the Science
I
Guy.
did.
Out loud, I went,
Bill,
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 Bill, Bill. Yeah.
Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill.
It's funny every time to me.
I will say this too. Like, she was like going all freaky, right? And she's like snarling like a dog and making the voice. And then Margaret's like sitting right next to her, and like she's out of focus, but like she's just like sitting there and she's like not reacting at all. And then I'm like, what the fuck? She'd be scared as hell. And they're like, oh no, she's in on it because it's fake as shit.
Yeah.
Send your hate mail to Tony Vu. We cut, and it is nighttime, and Billy offers some just more goddamn fucking biscuits to his mom. It's like, dude, chill out. They're not crack. You're just like, oh god, he pisses me off with the fucking biscuits.
Yeah.
And he's always like, biscuits! Oh, shut the fuck up. The Crooked Man box turns on, and the picture of him disappears, and then Billy hears, and they're all staying in the neighbor's house right now. Billy hears the dog bell that we learned about earlier. Shout out Sadie from the last movie. And he tries to find the dog, but the dog turns into the Crooked Man, who then turns into Janet. And we get some of the worst CGI I've seen in this past decade.
Okay,
TBH.
wait, before I talk about the
Really?
CGI, I want to talk about the dog. So the dog rings the bell, and then I think in the very next scene, like, one of the kids opens the front door, and the dog runs out the front door. And it's just weird. It's like, you're just letting your dog run around the neighborhood. Like, what the hell? I thought it'd be like a backdoor situation. I might have like seen it wrong. But okay, so the CG...
Tony,
I
will
thought
say,
it was the back door, but then they opened
it
the
was
front
too.
door, and then I thought the dog ran out the front door.
the editing was weird. It did kind of look like the front door. I will give you that.
Okay, and then to talk about the CGI, I feel like this CGI looks like claymation.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if it was stop
Yeah.
motion because it kind of looked like it.
It literally looks like they're like animating it, but they like skipped through like smooth motions, and
Yeah.
it looked like stop motion or like claymation or something.
Especially
It
when
looks-
Billy trips. When he trips Billy with the umbrella. That looked really bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like such a weird, like, so unbelievable cartoony in this like real world, and it's like,
It
what
took
the
me
fuck
out of
is
it for
this,
sure, but at
dude?
least it was short. Luke, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably my least favorite part of the movie, but you only saw it for like 10 seconds, so I was like, whatever.
That's why I was like, yeah, whatever.
Actually had the same, like, so that happened, and then when the gate for the fireplace flew across the room, it also looked like bad CGI. So I
Yeah,
didn't
that was
understand
weird.
what the hell was going on
So-
in that scene.
To any of you, did the Crooked Man look at all like he belonged in The Nightmare Before Christmas? Because
Yeah.
that's what it looked like to me.
Yes.
And I don't like that. Hot take, send me your hate mail. I'm not a fan of those types of movies, like the Tim Burton Nightmare Before
I haven't
Christmas.
seen
I don't
Fuck,
know
that.
what
fuck
I've
Tim
seen.
Burton.
I'm
dude.
gonna
Fuck Tim
send
Burton.
you. Yeah, I mean,
I've
that's
not.
true.
I've only
Bad
seen
guy,
bits and
bad
pieces
guy.
because
Bad
I don't
guy.
like it. So seeing this, especially in like a live action movie, was so weird.
Yeah, I agree. It was really bad. Some of the worst I've ever seen, but I actually like his voice. I think his voice is actually kind of creepy. So, like, if you just took his voice, fuck all the CGI, better CGI, whatever, it would be a lot better.
His design is weird too because his hat comes down like past his eyes. I don't know.
I
What's
know
going
it doesn't
on
make
there.
sense that he comes back later, but I like it way better when he's in the background behind Ed. I
I
know it doesn't
agree,
make sense he's there,
'cause
but that
yeah.
scene I like. I actually really like when he's walking, and then Crooked Man is slowly walking behind him. I think that would in the background, so you don't see the CGI. I really actually like that shot.
I couldn't get past in my head the idea of like why would he show up as that to Ed?
Sure,
So
I
that was,
think
like, a
the
mental
shot
block.
looked really nice. Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
They see the shadow, and then Janet shows up, and then she screams, and everything gets fucked up. And Tony was talking about how it didn't look real, how the thing flew and hit the what cabinet wardrobe? thing?
Yeah,
yeah,
like
whatever.
the cabinet thing.
A priest plays the recording of Janet, aka Bill, to Ed and Lorraine, and asks if they will go to London. And then this is what I was talking about earlier, that I like that the roles are switched and Lorraine is hesitant and not Ed, so I really like that. And I like, again, how personal it is. She doesn't want him to die, so we get more of their relationship.
Isn't it strange that you're also like, I don't know, okay, this like whole organization of like Catholic Church and Exorcist and Ed and Lorraine is so strange to me, because you're literally flying Ed and Lorraine thousands of miles to England to check out this case when the Vatican is probably closer to where
Oh,
they
for
are.
sure it is.
So it's like, it's just strange.
So why did they
to
go in
me.
real life? That's what's weird, right? Like, the real Ed and Lorraine went to London for this case. It's like,
Well, you know why they went.
they wanted a
Money.
piece of the profit, you know what I'm saying?
They want some of them profits, baby.
I also want to bring up that the priest says we've been reluctant to get involved. which seems to be what they say about every case. Why are they so reluctant to help everyone?
Because it's the Catholic Church.
It's like
Oh,
we
it's
continue.
like,
we continue.
Wait,
we continue.
wait. But it's weird. It's weird because like they don't want to get involved with any hoaxes. Why?
You
Is
won't
that,
know
like,
until you're
with-
there.
I know, because
Does
then
that-
you could disprove it and then look more credible
Yeah.
yourself.
You're like,
That's
oh
true.
yeah, it was a hoax. Like, hey, it was a hoax. I'm a professional. It was a hoax, and so that like gives you like the credibility to be like, oh yeah, that's a hoax, but this is real, and then like you can differentiate those things, and then instead of like literally every case you're going to be real, like that's
Wait,
apparently
right.
more believable. That's apparently more believable that every time an exorcist is sent out, that case is going to be real instead of some are hoaxes and some are real.
I just realized how funny it is, too, that they're like, we're reluctant to get involved, so we're going to send the Warrens because they apparently know better than us whether it's going to be a hoax or not, so they can report back to us. It's like...
I think it's
wouldn't-
because she's so-called a psychic or whatever she is.
Also,
Yeah.
it's like like the Warrens are like apparently doing all this good, and you're gonna waste their time on a potential hoax.
That's true, I didn't even think about that.
True. But if they had never seen any sound come out of that little girl and they knew what they did in the first one and everything they've done, I can kind of see it because everyone else sucks because none of it's real, you know? So no one else can do shit like this like they claim they can. But
There's something else in this scene. So, it goes back to Lorraine not wanting to tell Ed stuff. Remember her whole story about how she didn't eat for 8 days? That was 7 years before this. And in that 7 years, she's never told him that her premonition was about his death. Ever. So,
I felt like that
That's
was
crazy.
shoehorned in. I felt like that was shoehorned into this movie to connect it to the first one.
it
Like,
is
I
a
didn't feel
little
like
bit-
it was really genuine. Like, it's honestly something where I could see in the third movie. Like, it turns out that the spike that was supposed to kill him in the second one wasn't actually the spike that was going to kill him in the second one, and there's another spike in the third one. And then
That-
she's like, "Oh shit, that might be the spike
I
that kills
see.
him."
I would
That's
not
like the
rule
type
that
of
out.
shit. That's like the type of shit where I feel like it's shoehorned in just to connect the movies together.
It's entirely possible.
yeah, for sure. I don't know. We found out that that premonition, blah blah blah. I kind of agree. I think since they didn't explain what it was, maybe this was an idea, and then they didn't know if they were going to go with it or not because they didn't know if James Wan was going to come back. I don't know. But Ed convinces her to go with him to England. He promises to get out, shout out Jordan Peele, if anything goes wrong.
Nice.
Nice.
Mum shows the room to Ed.
Ooh, question. When they first arrive, did it look like there was a weird gray filter on everything to you guys, or is it just me? I know that it's kind of supposed to be that way because London is overcast most of the time. But, like, when Lorraine got out of the car, I was like, she looks like gray. Like, it was like just one scene.
Everyone was like that when they're outside,
Yeah.
though. I mean,
Yeah.
I liked it because I thought it added to the aesthetic.
I mean, it's not terrible, but it was just that one scene. I was like, everything looks more gray than everywhere else in the movie. I don't know. Maybe it's just a nitpick.
I think you're right, but I feel like it added to it, so I liked it.
It doesn't really matter. Yeah.
But shit just goes down in the room that she shows Ed. Crosses are everywhere. Lorraine talks to Jen as she swings, and I talked about this before. I really like the lighting and, like we were saying, the aesthetic here, like, and the acting in the scene. And then shout out, of course, Vera Farmiga, but especially Janet's actress Madison Wolfe, because
Mwah.
she
Chef's kiss.
was really good in this scene. We found out that Papa left because he cheated on the mum with someone around the corner. Hopefully it wasn't Baby, because no one puts her in the corner.
Very good one. Chef's kiss for that one.
No, it was bad. My theory is that all this in real life was to get the attention of the dad. I talked about that earlier. Because she was really sad about her dad leaving. You know, she was trying to conjure him up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
And
my god.
Oh, yeah, that's the name of the movie.
I think that this was all a hoax because she was trying to get attention. So then he would come back or something. Janet reveals that the voice wants to hurt Lorraine. And she's like, "When did it say that?" And she's like, "Right now." And I like that. I like that line.
I don't. I actually will just get into it later. We'll get into it later.
I do have some things about these scenes. I do think the acting is really great. My question is, one of them is generally about how this works. Lorraine tells her that the demon is trying to make Janet feel like garbage because that makes it stronger. Why? And also, why is the demon torturing her? Like, what's the end game? I don't
I
understand.
don't know the
Right.
end
Does she want
game
her
of the
soul,
entire
or does she just want
situation.
her dead, and why? Like, I'm not entirely
Yeah,
sure.
because
Yeah.
later on, when like Bill is talking to Lorraine or something, he's like, the demon wants her so badly, but it's like why? Why? Like I feel like the witch in the first one had a motive, where it's
That's
like
exactly
they
how I
go
feel.
on her land and then she's gonna make them do like what she did and like kill babies or whatever and like kill themselves in the name of Satan or whatever, blah blah blah. But this one I felt like just had no motive. Like I don't understand it, and it's like, oh, it's just evil, and I'm like, okay, but like why this person? It's just evil.
Evil.
It's just because it's evil.
There's also talking about the ex-husband. One, Ed just kind of like asked some really personal questions without like testing the waters to see if it's okay.
But
He's
he has
like,
little sideburns, so it's like,
so it's okay. But yeah, he asked like very personal questions about her ex-husband, like right off the bat, and I was like, oh. And that's only to shoehorn in a conversation about Elvis music so that it can come up again later. And I felt like it was
That's
really
true.
out of left field. Like it was out of place so that they can just kind of be like, hey, we established it earlier. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that.
Yeah, I agree.
it's yeah.
They set up a way to talk to Bill S. Preston Esquire by recording the conversation with Janet, but having her hold water in her mouth. Ed has everyone turns her backs because Bill wouldn't talk to them. Of course, this is like in real life.
Okay,
Of course
I know
this
the
happened.
logic doesn't make any sense,
This
but I
scene
like
is-
this scene a lot.
This is my favorite scene. In the
I like
movie.
this scene
This
a
is my
lot.
favorite
It is
scene.
also my favorite
That's
scene.
interesting because, like, I mean, we all know that it's really easy to fake this trick, right? But I also felt like they stayed static on this one shot for so
Yeah,
long
that's my
that
favorite part.
I know
That's
I
what I
didn't
liked.
I didn't really like that so much. I was like,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what it was about it, but I was just like, I don't know. I wish something else would have happened. I didn't
like-
feel
Wait,
this way.
wait.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Is Mark like quieter for you guys all of a sudden, or like has he been quieter?
Not to me. Not
I
really.
have not noticed.
Mark,
Mark?
can you talk again?
This is good.
I mean, that sounds fine to me.
I've had a
Sounds
change.
good.
I'm sitting in my bed. I've had a change how I'm sitting.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know.
sounds
I don't
okay.
know then. It sounds different to me, but if it sounds okay to everyone else, then it's
Okay.
fine.
Watch, it's gonna be scrumped in the end.
It's gonna
now
be
that we
terrible.
play.
It says
Yeah.
our yeah.
All right, where should we go from?
I want to hear. Luke was going
The
to say
static.
something.
Yeah, okay.
Luke was going to say
Well,
something.
Matt
about
was
it, though.
talking about the static, but yeah, go ahead.
Static. What
Oh,
was I saying?
oh, I was saying the first time I watched this movie, it didn't bother me at all. But upon like subsequent watches, I was just like, especially since I thought that like the whole trick was like so easily faked. I was like, come on. So like just sitting there during it for so long, I was like, all right, good, let's just
Can
just
you
continue.
explain
I
the
see.
trick to the audience?
Oh,
Matt?
sure. So they have her sit in a chair and try to hold water in her mouth so that when they hear the voice, they can prove that it's not just her making a voice. But when they're staring at her with water in her mouth, she can't do it. And all of a sudden, when they turn their backs, oh, we can hear the voice. Like, it's super easy to either swallow the water and then just sip some more before they turn around or spit it back. It's really
I will
easy to
s-
fake the trick.
Luke, go ahead.
Okay, so I was gonna say that I like that you can see Janet turn into Bill,
Yeah.
but you don't
Yeah.
like get the focus on Bill.
Right.
But later on, the Anita says she didn't start doing it till you had your backs turned. So they did like point it out that it didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
I do-
and
I-
of
yeah, I
course-
do
Weird
like
that they
that,
put
yeah.
it
Of course,
in
in
there.
real life, it's bullshit. But I like in this world of this movie that it's real. That the way they did this shot because
It was good.
It was like the long take of his acting and it transforming in the background, no focus on it.
I
and
liked that, yeah.
That's my favorite scene.
I do
This is like
the
one of the
transforming.
things. This is like one of the things where it's like, okay, they're just doing like a take on the real life thing, but in like this universe, it is real, but like there's still no reason for it. Like it's
Yeah.
real, but there's like still no reason for them to turn around and stuff.
But in
I
real life,
do-
they had to turn around. So then, but I like how they put it in this movie because in real life they turned around that he actually did turn into it.
I
the background.
did like that she did turn into him in the background, but I do agree with Matt that it's like this really long shot in just this one camera angle, so it kind of gets like, because I like that she turns into it, but then it stays for too long, that it kind of loses like the edge that it has
I see.
to me.
I disagree because I thought it.
That's
didn't
what
stay
I
too
liked
long.
about it. Yeah.
I mean, that's how I felt too. But like, it didn't bother me so much. It's just at a certain point I was like, okay, I'm ready for the next scene.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How you put that one was so good. Shout out James Wan. I even put a shout out for James Wan because I like that scene so much.
I will return this.
Also-
Yes, thank you. Luke has a sense of what a good movie is.
In the scene, at the end of it, Bill gives half of a message. He shouts half of a message. And why doesn't he just give the whole message? It's just a plot contrivance that we can have like
That's
a big
what
reveal
I
later.
felt like of it. That's what I felt of it.
Because even if
Also-
the demon has control of him, she's not going to like whether he gives half a message or a whole message. So
Or a
just
whole
give him
message.
whole message.
Correct.
Yeah.
And do you is he really tricking her by only giving a half message and then giving the other half message later? Is that
No.
really tricking the demon? Like, am I supposed to believe that the demon is that stupid? It's just strange. And then it's weird because Ed's cross works on him. I don't get it because in multiple instances his cross works on him and then it helps get Janet back. But then she's in a room full of fucking crosses, and they don't ever do jack shit.
Also, if one cross does the job, does having 100 of them do more, or is it just the same? I don't know how that does it amplify it? I don't know. That's
Is
not
his
even a
cross
nitpick. I'm just
special?
genuinely asking.
I know why they
Is
did
his
it.
cross
It's-
special?
It's because I think they did it because he has that whole not monologue, but he's talking to Janet about how he used it to scare the monster under his bed.
Is it blessed too? Maybe I don't know.
That's what I was
Probs. I
wondering.
don't know.
Is it blessed? If it's blessed, then I understand it. But then it's
It is
again
blessed.
there's no explanation for it.
Nice.
Where there's these things where if there was just an explanation for it, I think it'd do some nice world building and I'd understand and I'd get it. But it's when you watch it, you just kind of have to give it a free pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just assumed because it was my man Sideburns using it. I don't know, but explanation would be better.
Shout out
Would be nice.
to cross manufacturing companies because that's an easy buck right there.
Easy buck. You know who makes easy bucks are the people who make communion wafers. That's an easy buck.
Yeah.
Easy bucks right there. He sounds like a dying sheep when he holds that cross. He transforms back into Jan and she spits out the water. Lorraine explains that she can't feel anything here, but she can only sense their own fear. Janet ties herself. So I like in this movie that Lorraine is skeptic about them, and she's the one who's it's never a skeptic because it's all real to her. Blah blah blah.
Right.
But in this movie, she's skeptic about them, and I like that. Janet
Crisscross.
Janet ties herself to her mom's bed and sleeps with her. Outside again looks like Prisoner of Azkaban, and there's creepy whistling. Janet wakes up and she's on the roof.
Yeah.
Question about this: is that a dream? Is the beginning of this her dream, or what's happening?
I thought it was real because all this is.
But then,
insane.
how did she get through the floor and then also into a locked room?
Because because he grabbed her.
Oh, but my question
that's
is:
what they were trying
if a
to
ghost grabs you, can you defy the laws of physics now, or only the ghost?
That's what I assumed from this.
Okay.
Also, is it okay? Now we're getting into. Can a ghost do this, or is this the demon-controlled ghost?
Be a ghost and still
Right.
haunt people? Can it still be
yeah,
a demon,
it's all that stuff. It's all that stuff that I'm like, oh, okay.
I
If
just
a
don't.
train going
again,
45 miles an hour leaves Cincinnati,
Yeah.
It's the same thing as the first one where I just don't care because I'm believing in this. So I don't really give a shit if it's super crazy. I'm
okay.
just whatever. It's cool. If it's a creepy enough movie, I don't give a shit about anything.
I think that's my
I dismiss
thing,
a lot
though.
of things in these movies. I'll agree, I dismiss a lot, but I just like everything in the directing and all this so much that it
the
it
directing
doesn't
is good. Yeah.
it doesn't bother me that all this crazy story elements. If I believed, I'd be more upset. I think at oh well, then how would that even happen? That's made up. But since I don't, I'm just who fucking cares? They're defying
It's a
logic.
movie.
That's my problem with why these movies aren't super high for me. I think if they did the world building better and the explanation better, and I could watch this movie, put myself in this world, and then just believe these things, even though I don't in real life, it'd be such a better movie. It'd tie everything in so much better. But because I have to dismiss everything and I'm only in it for the scares, that the scary movies can't ever be masterpieces to me.
So
Because I have to give up so much story, and so much world building in them. It's like if they could do that, if they could nail that down, and I could just put myself in this world, and I could pretend I'm there, and like all these things happen, and I don't question it because in that universe it makes sense. That would be so good.
So is that something that you like more in like Insidious, because that's really about world building?
I would say that Insidious is like
Shout out
world
James Wan.
and how they put everything together is nice, and it makes sense to me.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. Good.
Yeah.
I think
I
because of just like
Oh.
the horror genre, like the creepiness and the scares is good, and it's like has to be there. But like what scary movies I like is if they could like actually tell a story and have it make sense, and everything's like really fleshed out.
I will say that I think this movie would be a lot lower if it was directed by anyone other than James Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
he
sure.
really
Same-
elevates this.
Same
Yeah.
script and someone else would be pretty
Yeah,
bad.
exactly.
Yeah.
The directing is a lot of what I really love about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why like most of my problems are like story wise,
Writing wise, same thing
Yeah.
as the first one.
Exactly.
I can dismiss a lot, but I would agree because like I just get immersed into this world where anything's possible, because it's like they're just telling you anything's possible. She can get dragged through a roof, or the ceiling, and it's just like I just turn off my brain. I'm like, the nun follows her. I don't really care. I don't think about it too
Sure.
much because that's not what I'm here for.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I get Tony that you're here for that. So
I think
it's just different.
Also, my problem is like the wasted potential on this whole James Wan verse, because like it's not for a lack of movies that they can't like flesh it out, have everything explained, and have really good stories that connect with each other. It's just like they have to like play into like this.
Tony, it's another universe
scary movie
with
thing.
Warner Brothers, DCEU, and
Oh
Conjuring
no!
universe. That's why.
No, Warner Brothers.
That's why
Warner
none of
Brothers.
it connects.
You dismiss Warner Brothers and you're gonna have somebody on your doorstep ready to kill you.
Shout out Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So she gets pulled into her own room. We talked about that, but I like when he was walking up the stairs. It was like there's a shot that was like crooked on the stairs that looked kind of like Psycho to me.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah,
he's
I know.
whistling walking up the stairs, which was creepy. Of course, she gets pulled, and that was weird. But I like all the crosses turning upside down and her following it. I love all of this.
Yeah.
Very very cool shot.
And then
Very
he
cool.
just
Good
scares
shot,
the
yeah.
bejesus out of her because she's sitting in the corner.
Very cool shot for sure.
I like all this.
It took Ed and Lorraine forever to wake up. Let me just say, they can
Yeah.
sleep through everything.
The mom wakes up and can hear, and could you imagine if this happened where like she could see Janet and then get pulled back and then just see a fucking old man's face in there? Like that would scare you so
No.
bad. And then
It's
Ed,
definitely a missight on them, right? They're like, we're gonna lock Janet in this room all the night because she's fucking possessed. But then you also have to
No,
deal with. Oh,
She
wait,
wasn't
she's
in
like
she
there.
a
wasn't
fucking
locked. No,
demon.
no,
She
he
got-
put her in there.
Put her.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Which is why I asked, how did she get into a locked room? And we went,
Yeah.
demons. I don't
Yeah,
know.
demons can do things. Ed breaks into the door, and Janet is suffocating on the curtains, and the curtains come back later. Lorraine sees one of the crosses fidget back into place barely.
Yeah.
The
I
gang.
thought this was gonna like be like an homage to something later on. It wasn't, was it?
I don't.
I
Well,
think so.
Like it's just like an indication that something happened or something.
Yeah.
Which part was an homage?
Or I'm not like an homage, but like a foreshadowing something else in the future.
I think it's just the
Oh,
curtains.
yeah.
That was it. Not actually the suffocating of it.
Okay. Because like in the first Conjuring, she like has her necklace yanked, and it's like there's that shot of it just hanging on the pillar, and so that's like foreshadowing that it's gonna get her later on because like it knows her and her daughter now or something, right? Well, like in this one, when she like saw the cross fidget back into back into place, I thought that was also gonna try to foreshadow something later on, and it just didn't.
I think
So I
it
was wondering
was-
if it was.
It was
supposed
just
to.
made her start like, even though she can't feel anything, to try to believe them.
Yeah.
okay.
I think you're right, Mark. It's just to prove that it was moving on its own.
And even though she can't feel anything, she's like, I did see that. So the gang meets up at the pub, total Sunny styles,
Oh yeah.
Nice.
And Harry Potter is just leaving Janet at this point. He was like kind of like annoying at first, and then I actually ended up liking him at the end of the movie.
I did not care about him at all.
And then because he has the moment about his daughter, and that's why he's actually
That,
interested in
I
her.
actually
Yes.
thought that scene
Very
was.
nice.
Yeah.
I thought that scene was out of place in this movie, which
Really?
that's probably a hot take. We just don't get anything with him, and then we get one scene where there's a heart
Well,
to
he
heart, and
almost
that's
seems-
it.
He almost
I
seems
was like, okay.
skeptic at first, like a little bit, and then at this point he's like, "It's real, it's real, it's real," and you're like, why is this guy pushing so hard? Why is he pushing so hard?
I guess so.
So then it's like, oh, we find out it's because he has a personal connection. He wants to know his daughter's in a good place. So I actually like that because I'm like, why am I starting to like him here? Because Born Supremacy is like, nah, fuck you guys.
I did.
You know,
What if?
I did think it's strange. I thought it's strange that he's like, I just want to know that there's something going on afterlife or whatever, or that she's trying to communicate with me. But then he's dealing with like demonic possessions and ghost ass shit, and I'm like, do you really want to, like, you still don't know, like, you know that there's ghosts and demonic shits, but you don't know if there's like a heaven or something.
I think because
so
he's
it's like,
skeptic at first, so it's like he just wants to believe in something supernatural after death. That's
but it's like he wants to believe in it, and then if it's revealed to him, but like it's revealed like, oh shit, maybe my daughter's like a ghost, and now she's being like tormented for the rest of her life by demons and shit, and there actually isn't heaven because like there's no like definitive proof like either way.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that. It's like, what if he goes through all this to prove like that? Oh, she's in a better place, and he finds out that she's just like burning in hell. And you're just like,
Yeah,
oh,
I like
Jesus Christ, guys.
Yeah, like there's
Okay.
like no, like it's like he's trying to correlate this like ghost possession and demon shit to like, oh, maybe she's like a ghost and like she's in heaven and blah blah blah. But then like maybe like there is no heaven, and all this proves to you is that ghosts and demons exist. So then he knows that his daughter is a ghost, and then demons also exist to torment her.
Wouldn't that be a hilarious way to end this movie with proving definitively that there is no heaven?
You guys are God damn.
Okay, sorry. Let's keep going.
I like that at the pub they look at the picture of Janet levitate, aka like quote unquote levitating, and Ed acknowledges that it looks like she's jumping. So like these people who are supposed to be like the ones who are like, he's like, I think she's jumping there, you know. So I really like that he acknowledges it. And it's just giving credit to the skeptics, and it's nice. And then Ed says that they need to take a leap of faith, which comes back. Ed and Lorraine go to the house.
Wait. There's one more line in that I wanted to acknowledge. Whatever Anita says something like, I don't know what's worse, the demons are the people who take advantage of people using them, and Lorraine says the demons are worse, and it made me roll my eyes so hard. I was like, ugh. That was one of the scenes where I was like, you're getting a little too on the nose with your like
no,
words
I actually
trying to
like
save
that scene.
people.
I actually like that.
I didn't like that line. I was just like, can we not right now?
Luke, thoughts?
I actually didn't really like it.
Oh, Luke's on my side.
There you go. Yes, it's 3-1
I'm
on
the
that
only one. So then he goes and they're like at the house, and Edward starts singing to the
Edward.
because Bill calls him Edward.
Eddie.
Yeah, and he's like, your dad used to call you Edward, and then he's like, no, that's not true. He called me Ed like everyone else.
because she's just making it up. 'Cause
Yeah, I didn't bring that up. I actually like that the demon was just kind of fishing, or that Bill was just kind of fishing to see if he could freak him out.
Right.
And he missed. I like that.
Yeah.
I actually like the singing part. But then Lorraine
don't.
gets sad because she doesn't want old Eddie to croak, you know.
Eddie.
I actually like the singing.
I thought it was weird and unnecessary, and also, I can't hear that song without thinking of Patrick Wilson. Like, I have that song on my phone; it's come on shuffle, and every time I think of this movie, and I'm like, God,
Isn't that
I
a
don't
good
want
thing?
to think. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
Patrick
memorable.
Wilson?
Yeah,
No. You didn't think of Patrick Wilson.
Love thinking of Patrick Wilson, but I understand them. Like, I actually like when they bring back this song at the end of the movie, but I thought the whole extended scene of him singing to the kids was like a little out of place.
I like that it made them feel more comforted, and then it kind of establishes him more as like a father figure at the end to her.
Sure.
I
that.
liked the breakfast scene better in Conjuring 1, where like they wake up for breakfast and they're all happy together now because like they had a good night's sleep because they were there. This seems like it's trying to do the same thing, but it just felt weird. He's like, I'm gonna have music in this house either way, and then he picks up a guitar and he starts singing Elvis, and it's blah blah blah, fun good times.
Fun good times.
Ed goes to the laundry room to help fix it, and he's a real fix-it Felix Jr., am I right? Old boy, old Billy boy comes out of the water.
Wait, didn't we have the Maurice and Lorraine scene before this where we were talking about?
Yeah, my bad.
Well, we
I
kind of already
skipped a part.
talked about what we felt.
And Ed and Janet have a moment when he's trying to fix the sink, and it's the same thing that Lorraine said, that I married her. I actually
that is a good
liked
scene.
it.
Like, that one's
Yeah.
good and like heartfelt.
her acting is really good, especially bouncing off these two.
Yeah.
I think Janet. But then Eddie comes out of the water, or no, Billy comes out of the water.
Billy comes out of the water. I like this scene. I like this scene because it's like they set it up so it's behind Ed the entire time, right? And it's just in the background, and it's creepy because he's like fixing, and he has his back turned to it. And what's the mom's name? Peggy or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
She's like
Margaret, right?
Margaret. No,
That's
Margaret's the
Peggy.
sister.
Margaret's the sister.
Dang it.
Peggy is Peggy.
Peggy
And
and
she's
Margaret
like-
are the same thing. Peggy is a
That's
nickname
why
for
I
Margaret.
thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Margaret
you guys
was
not know
definitely
that?
the sister. Margaret was definitely the
She's
sister.
probably named for her mom then. Anyway,
Yeah.
continue.
Could be.
People can.
And like she can't really see, but then she's like, Ed, there's something behind you. And I like that it doesn't get him and it gets her.
Mm.
And I thought that was
Yeah.
really good. And I really like how that like this scene entirely like played up to it. I thought him finding like he sees a bubble in the water, and like but like the water's so murky that he's not even looking into it. He's just reaching his hand down there for like some reason, even though like some demon could take his hand off or something. But then I didn't like how he finds like the dentures,
Ooh.
and there's like the 2 teeth. I thought it was like a little
I
on
s-
the nose. I loved how that scene was set up from like the beginning until like she gets grabbed, and then he grabs the thing out of the water, and it's like, oh.
Two things. One, did anyone else think of Pennywise and Georgie from It? Do you remember?
Yeah, that.
It was
So-
It Chapter 2 when Georgie was in the flooded basement.
I could hear
was-
you talking in your room muted, Luca, and then click on, and then start
Correct.
talking.
Do you guys know what
No,
I'm
that was
talking
the
about?
first one,
It's the
I
first
think.
one. Either way, that's what I was thinking of. But then also, Tony, I wrote convenient dentures are convenient. Like,
Yes, yes.
it's kind of just like there's no reason for it to drop there except for us to get this like aha moment.
Yeah.
So I do like the way the scene was set up, though. You're right.
I thought it was a really nice scene. I could do without like the very
The
ending
last part, yeah.
Yeah.
They're hanging. The kids are hanging things on the Christmas tree, and Jan sees something in the kitchen. Charlie's a brave kid and goes to the. Is his name Charlie? I thought it was Johnny.
It's Johnny.
Johnny.
Why did I
And
write Charlie?
He's a character now, I guess.
Why did I write Charlie?
Yes.
Is someone else's name Charlie?
I don't think there's a Charlie in this movie.
Wow.
I don't think there's a
All
Charlie in
right,
this
Johnny
movie.
is a brave kid and he goes to the kitchen, and you gotta pay respects to my man Johnny.
This-
Guys, come on.
this
he hasn't
reminds
been in
me-
the movie this whole time, but come on.
This reminds me of Justice League when that little girl asks Wonder Woman if she
God,
could be
here we
like
go.
her, and she says yes. And she says
God.
yes, right? So she's
God.
like emboldening her to be like Wonder Woman, right? And then she's like, ah, Wonder Woman. And she jumps off a building and then she dies or something like that. In this scene, it's like, he's like, Ed is like a professional ghost hunter or whatever, and he's like, you guys gotta stick up for each other. And then Johnny's like,
Well, he
hell
said
yeah,
him-
I'm gonna stick up for my family. And then he goes in there, and
don't
there's
think
knives
Ed-
all on the fucking table,
Ed
and it's like,
didn't mean
oh,
it-
fuck.
I don't think Ed realized it was like this. I think he was just
Yeah, I
like,
don't-
don't let him
yeah,
bully
yeah.
Janet. Like, don't let him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is a
Yeah,
dumb
but I'm
kid.
saying like he's like they're dumb kids, so of course they take it the wrong way, and then it's
Right.
like, oh, Johnny, you're so dumb.
But then Margaret is like, Janet's not here, and she's like right next to him, like about to pounce on him with a fucking knife.
I wrote down in my notes, Batman Janet. With
Yeah.
a fucking knife.
Yeah, her,
she's
like-
she's all like crouched like Batman in like the old films.
I like this because it's still not like a cut jump scare. Like she's just sitting there with a knife, and
She's
like,
just
can you imagine
there,
your
yeah.
sister like ready to stab you like that? Shit gets fucked up in the kitchen, and Janet is gone. The image of her next to like the electrical box or wherever she was terrifying. The way she was like in there, like
Yeah, that was-
terrifying.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
I hated that.
because she's like
In a
all
good
like
way.
I like
mangled
it.
in it.
I hated
She's
it
all
in
like
a good way.
mangled in it.
Yeah.
Like she got
It-
blood bended or something.
shout out Airbender.
Facts.
it is unsettled. I wanted to say when Ed was trying to get into whatever it was, the kitchen or whatever, during that scene, or I don't know where he was trying to go. He tried to kick in a door that opened outward, which was kind of funny to
My
me. And
man.
but then also, it is very creepy the way she's in there. But then they also go, how did she get in there? I'm like, dude, kids are like ferrets, and they will get in, like, they can get into tight
I mean,
spaces.
the way she looked in there though was
That was,
fucking
like,
horrifying.
It was it looked like she dislocated her shoulder. Like,
that was
messed
nasty.
up. Yeah.
And then you feel bad for a tick for her, but then too bad, so sad for her. That scam artist little motherfucker gets caught, and she messed up because she was in the kitchen, fully lucid, throwing shit all over the goddamn place. And board supremacy says the asshole thing of "so much for a leap of faith," and I'm like, "Ugh,
Oh.
fuck you, bitch."
Dude, I would have loved it if the way this movie ended was they proved that they faked it and it was like cut to black.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I was like, well, there it is. It's fake. And then it's like roll credits.
Lauren Supremacy is such an asshole here. Though. Like,
I know.
The way she said it, like, dude,
Yeah.
chill. It's a kid. Because she also kind of blames, like, the mom, saying she might have been a part of it. It's like, dude, chill. It's fine. You found out it was a hoax. But Lorraine honestly just should have slapped her right in the teeth right here. Because she was just, like, so mean.
She wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm also confused because couldn't she be possessed in doing this?
Yes. I don't...
I think it's because, like, it was no abnormal strength or whatever, which, like, she was claiming it, so she had lied about it or something.
She did flip that table like she got
did,
some abnormal
so
strength.
she's fucking crazy. But
She also bent that fucking knife, bro.
Well, they buy cheap stuff. They're not very rich. Remember?
It's made of plastic.
They established that in the movie. The crew decides to leave because this whole thing is a hoax. Maurice tells Ed to take a leap of faith, but when no one else will. Janet waves to him in the window, and that's actually a kind of a sad shot. She's like holding her hand up. I'm like, oh, come on, that's actually sad because in this movie world, she's actually getting possessed and whatever. Mm-hmm. So, we get a sick shot of buildings in a puddle, and then like rain goes over it, and then like it pans up, and like that's the actual buildings. Because at first it like just looks like it's a shot of the buildings for a second, and then like the rain goes. I thought that was really cool because James Wan, he really has won my heart over, right?
That's a good one. Good one. Good one.
Oh,
Good one.
Thank you.
Oh my god.
Biscuit Billy and Margaret asked why she faked it, and she said that it told her she had to make them leave or it would kill her siblings.
So basically she's saying the devil made me do it.
Shout out next movie. Ed drops the tape recordings on the floor on the train. Honestly, just a dumb idiot of Ed. Like, dude, stop dropping shit all over the place. Like, you're supposed
Come on, Ed.
and
Tape
you know what?
recorder
You
Ex
know what?
Machina.
Yeah.
It even
this
makes
how
an
the-
X.
Is
It
this
makes
how
an
the
X on
original
ground.
mixtape was made?
Yeah, he's a spin doctor. Yeah, I really don't like this because it's just like he has this epiphany and it is kind of an ex machina. It's just like, oh, I figured it out.
X.
It's like, okay.
Like on the floor, X.
X,
Yeah.
yeah,
Ex
literal ex machina. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was silly. But he says, help me, it won't let me go. It's actually the nun that's not letting him continue to the afterlife. This allows Lorraine to see him now that she knows he's a trapped soul. The nun comes from behind Bill, and she's just a silly goose, and she has back behind him.
What?
And can we talk about the riddle for the name? What was it? It's like it's
was
given
there.
to you at birth,
Yeah.
and then there with you until death, and then it's like, well, your name actually carries on with you after you're dead. Like the whole, like history
Also-
books and like gravestones and like all this other stuff. Like your name goes on after you die.
Dude, Ed solves this in 2 seconds flat. It is not a problem. He's like, I do riddles every day in preparation for this.
It's Ed Warren, man. It's probably what he does all day when he's not painting like a goddamn Picasso.
Why?
You know what I
also-
think it was? You know what I think it was? It was a crossword puzzle in the newspaper. It said 4-letter word for, and then they gave the riddle out.
All right, deep cut from high school. Do you guys remember reading Oedipus Rex? Did you have to do that?
I don't even know what that is.
Sure,
That's how
yeah.
bad it is. I can't remember a single thing
Okay.
in high school.
Well, in it, he has to solve the riddle of a sphinx to enter like a town, and that's what
I
it
do remember
sounds
that.
like.
Okay.
And that riddle it's along a similar line. It's like what starts with 2 legs, and then like in the middle of life it has 3, and then whatever. And it's like supposed to be like man is the answer. I said that riddle horribly, but like
Yeah, you did.
thank you.
It's you start the hill on 4, and then you go to 2, and then you go to 3.
That's
like,
yeah, and then yeah,
you're a
okay,
baby
that's it.
crawling, and then you're walking on 2 legs, and then you have a
I
cane.
have a
on your
cane.
middle.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what this sounds like, and I still don't understand why he gave a riddle. If he, at that point, like the demon knows what you're trying to tell them, just straight up say no if you know the name.
I thought they were cool. Like they weren't there anymore, so he could talk to them, and it was like without the like for that little short amount of time, he could have just told them. That was like, oh, it's its name, and also because like the demon like grabs his shoulder and is like, "Blah, look at my mouth again," or whatever, right? So the demon already knows that he's telling them something that's like they're up to something, anyways.
Why now? Because okay, so the demon was blocking Lorraine's vision. Why now? Because she knows this piece of information. And why can she now break through? Why is the nuns like? Why is that not working? I don't understand that.
I don't understand
I
her
think
fake
that's-
powers either.
Yeah. Okay, we're on the same page.
Mum is cleaning the kitchen and Margaret is levitating because Janet is possessed and laughing, like holding her up in the air or whatever. She throws her against the wall and Mum brings everyone outside, and I like how she does that and then runs back in for Janet, but then it locks her out. But I like how she like brought him out and then tried to run back in herself. I like that. They realize Bill and the Crooked Man were just facades for the nun, and they need to figure out the name of the demon to have power over it. We already talked about this.
Dude, the car was a huge exposition dump. It was just like, let's just spew out all the information we need to know for the last scene.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I guess if we know its name, we have power. Oh, what's the riddle? Oh, that's the answer? Okay, cool. Like this. Yeah.
Ed tries to break in through the window, but the nun just throws a whole fucking couch at him.
I thought this was another CGI scene where I thought it was like the gate to the fireplace, where there was also just like weird CGI, looked like stop motion or like clay motion or whatever. And
Yeah, it was weird.
Oh, that's so weird.
I agree. But we do get a cool overhead shot in the rain as he runs to the back. So
I like that.
It's a very good one. And then the emotional moment, like right after that, with Ed in the rain is good.
Yeah, so
It's
he
very
gets
good.
he gets down in the
Behind the
basement and the
door.
door shuts itself.
Yeah.
Lorraine begs him not to go, because he might die, and he goes anyway to help Janet. So shout out Ed in this movie, but not in real life. He pretty much knows that he may be sacrificing himself, but he just goes and does it anyway. The music right here is really nice too, with Vera Farmiga screaming. You know, all this stuff is good.
Her screaming, I don't know what kind of frame of mind she gets into, but when she's like distraught, her acting is so very
man.
realistic. Like,
Very
Kind of creepy.
Yeah.
How good it is. Yeah. Ed breaks through the floorboard from underneath, and he gets burned by some steam up there. And this was foreshadowed
From the
earlier.
radiator?
Yeah, because he
Yeah.
like touched it earlier, and it was like
Yeah.
it burned his hand. So, religious music from earlier starts playing, and I just really like that music too. Like, I just really like that the sound of that. So, I like that it came back. He can't see a thing, and I like this first person point of view, all blurry. And then the Crooked Man is in
I
the
do like the
background.
blurriness.
And the Crooked Man's in the background.
Yeah.
We talked about how this doesn't make sense, but I really liked it in the background, just kind of creeping up on him. The way it looked, I really liked.
sure.
He like looks in the Crooked Man's toy thing, and then he like looks up, and then it's like jump scare, and then it like
I didn't appreciate that jump scare.
here's the CGI. The bad CGI is like goes across the
yeah.
roof or whatever, and it's like all like
Right,
they're, like
so-
making cracks in the building.
Before this, the neighbor, who I never learned his name, was trying to break down the door, and then Lorraine just runs back and tries to remember the name. She remembers that she carved it into the Bible, found it, and it was Valak. Lightning hits the tree out front.
Yes. Okay.
So this
part
was all
too-
before. This was all before the Crooked Man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. So this part is weird. So she like ruins her Bible, but she still brings it to London with her for some reason. Like she didn't just get a second Bible for some
True.
reason. Like
That is
she
interesting.
she kept that specific one where she like ruined it, and then she's like, "Oh shit, I know it," and then she goes to the Bible. Second, this brings me back to Conjuring 1, where like, okay, so the witch wasn't the one who made the weather all crazy, and then like made it so that it's windy and the clouds and the overcast, and then like so that the sheet would fly off and then like make that imprint of a person. But now this demon like strikes down a tree with goddamn lightning to make a perfect spike for some Ed death.
Spike Rush.
Is
I
this
didn't understand that.
is it supposed to just be coincidence? Because if so, that's a hell of a coincidence.
Yeah, I don't
It's very a hella coincidence.
I don't know.
Okay, but we could get back to fucking Crooked Man, bad CGI, and he like throws his arm through the door or whatever.
I
It
need
looks
to go. I need
really
to take
bad.
I need to take a break real quick.
Okay,
Hold on.
I'm gonna go pee then.
Hold on.
I need to go
Me too.
pee.
Pee for everybody.
All right, is anyone else back? Okay.
I'm back for now, but I might need to pause again.
Okay. Am I the only one back too? I think I'm the only one back. Luke and Tony are still able. Okay. It's funny when we do these podcasts. Like, I actually like these movies, but I feel like most of the time I'm just shitting on things about them.
It's easier to talk about the negatives than it is about the...
A lot of the positives I have are all kind of like similar things too. So it's just me repeating. The directing here
I'm
is
back.
dope.
Hold up, I'll leave again. I'm gonna call back.
Okay. Oh,
I agree, Matt.
like it's easy to crap on things, and like everything I like is like cool shot here. I like what they did there, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it's just these types of movies, to be honest. Like
It is
when we talked about Soul,
Uh-huh.
there was like a lot of stuff that I could talk about, like a lot of good stuff that I could talk about, and like really get in depth with a lot of things. But I feel like scary movies are just so shallow that it's hard to say good things about them that like have any depth. It's just like, I like this shot. I like how this was creepy. I like how this jump scare scared me. Because that's all scary movies are.
Horror movies too. I think in the history of horror movies, we found a formula that works. So they have their own slight deviations, but on the whole, you still follow the same pattern. So if you
Yeah.
don't like certain things, you're not going to like them about most horror movies, and vice versa. I don't know.
And so this is like what I like about like what I was saying when like there's like no explanation and no character development and no world building, because that's the stuff that you could like praise on and on and on and like get into real depth about it. But then like
that's kind of what I like about movies like Get Out, where it's like a horror movie, but it's more like a thriller because like it's all about like the characters too.
yeah,
It's like those are kind of a breath of fresh air.
yeah, but not us. Us is booty.
Dude, I didn't hate
don't
Us,
just-
and like
yeah.
the second time I watched it, I liked it less. Like, there's so many holes in the plot. Of
Yeah,
Us.
that's the
Oh,
one.
Man.
That's the one where there's no like world building and
By the end of it,
explanation and
dude,
stuff.
by the end of it, the second time I watched, because I knew what was like going on, I was like, hold on, and I like rattled off a list of questions to Katie. I think I had like a dozen. I was like, none of these are answered.
I hate it too because like there's no way that like actually happens where like your clones can kill everybody with just shears and actually make this line. There would be so many police officers, so much military, so many like
Hicks
people
with
who
AR-15s.
are just so many
Yeah.
gun owners that would
Yeah.
just smoke these fucking guys. And there's like, think about it. Am I like a person
I'm back.
as a person who would like has the access to gyms and like stuff like that and healthy diet? Would I not be stronger than my clone who just eats fucking rabbits and
What
does
is
jack
happening
shit?
here? What is
We're
happening?
talking about
work?
Us. We got to Us somehow.
Just
yeah.
jack shit in the dark. That clone would be fucking weak as hell. I'd probably shit on his bitch ass, dude.
I mean, that's fair.
Okay, you were good.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like Tony was talking about, the Crooked Man toy goes off, the image disappears, he's in the tent, and he gets thrown into the closet, and the entire house just, like, fucking cracks, and this is just insanity. Like, the fact that they said this part was a true story is just absurd.
Yeah.
Ed breaks into Janet's room, and she's, like, at the window. I like the shot of, like, her breaking the window, and it, like, cuts her face a little bit.
Ooh,
Yeah,
and
that
like
is
she's
cool,
like,
yeah.
wow,
Yeah,
like
that
the
was
wind is
cool.
blowing in.
It looked really
that's a very
nice.
cool shot.
She's falling out, and Ed grabs her along with the curtain that came back, so he doesn't fall, but starts popping off the fucking row or whatever. Lorraine comes in, and Valak is in the corner, sitting right there, just chilling.
Just sitting right
Yeah,
there.
she's just chilling. Lorraine yells its name at it and contempt. Is it a her? I mean, like, does she say? I mean,
I think it's an
No.
it.
It's a
I don't
demon,
know.
so it's
just
it,
a
right?
demon.
Yeah, okay. Because I keep saying it, but I'm like, I don't.
I think it's an it.
Okay. Because she names its name at it and then condemns it back to hell. The curtain breaks and Lorraine catches Ed, who has Janet in his hand, of course. And like we said, this is pretty anticlimactic, especially compared to the first one.
Right.
Where the first one was like,
yeah.
they were in the house for like 10 minutes trying to figure shit out just to end the movie, you know?
And
one
I
was, like,
also
3.
I also felt like, so Ed saves her from impaling herself on the wooden spike outside, and he's like hanging and holding her. He could like literally throw her down on the ground, like away from the spike, and then she would like maybe break a bone or something, but they're only on the second story, and then she'd be fine. And then he could pull himself up because he'll have 2 hands left. Like, I didn't understand why he was
Decent
just like
point.
he
But
just
she does
kept holding
levitate.
her.
She does levitate.
To be fair,
you could like throw her over the spike.
She's practically unconscious at this point, and so if you just kind of toss her, she could actually kind of hurt herself with the way
Hit
she
her in the
falls.
head. Maybe she
Yeah, I
fell
don't
on her
know.
head or something.
I'd take that chance, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Besides,
Oh, we
like,
know you would.
us both getting impaled, and then like if the demon is like blasting Lorraine against the wall, and it's just like, haha, look, and I'm gonna wait for these curtains to drop, and then it'll drop one by one until your husband is dead. It seemed like a 60s villain to me. It's like, one by one these curtains will drop, and you'll watch as your lover dies, instead of just being like, demon powers, and then push him down onto the spike.
Dude,
Crack the
that-
goddamn fucking house. She can't push it over the fucking ledge.
Yes.
Tony, you sounded like the Penguin in the Adam West Batman.
That's what I was trying to go for. That's what I was trying to
We brought this up earlier, but I don't understand. If the demon's goal was to just kill Janet for some reason, she had plenty of chances before this. I don't understand the end goal.
I think
I thought she was
that's
trying to
one
get
of
to
my
Lorraine.
problems.
I thought she was trying to get to Lorraine.
Is that the whole goal? I don't know.
don't know.
I think the goal was to kill Ed, to be honest.
Right.
Right?
Yes, she did
Okay.
want to kill Ed. Yes.
Okay.
I think the end goal was to kill Ed.
So the
I
easiest
give-
way to kill Ed is to get them to come to a different country where they don't live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are demons local?
Do they can't fly commercial. We know that.
They can't fly commercial. They're local. Wherever their legs
Maybe
take
it's
them, they
like-
stay.
Maybe it's like
funny.
just James Wan still kind of like Insidious type of way that like the demons are in that if they get to that place, it's just like it, but it's kind of different for them. So they could technically go anywhere. I don't know.
I don't know either, but
It
Definitely
is quite
strange.
complicated. Don't you think she'd just keep haunting, Judy forever until she kills Ed? Like,
that would be easier. Well,
or just
she
kill
was-
him. She's a demon. She could
she
do
was-
anything. Just kill him immediately.
Okay, so question: the demon wasn't ever actually in the Warren house, right? They were just visions that
Oh,
Lorraine
right,
was
right,
having,
right, right.
Yes.
Okay.
So because maybe the nun was always in England.
That's what I thought. See, okay, the first time I watched it,
I see.
the first time I
premonition.
watched it, I was like confused. I was like, "Why does it keep jumping back and forth?" And then I realized it's always in England. Every time we see it in America, it's just because Lorraine's
I
having a
think
vision
it's
of it.
because they're so powerful as these people,
Uh-huh.
Ed and Lorraine, that it wants to get rid of them because it's like hurting the evil in the world or whatever, and getting rid of it. So it wants to kill.
Evil.
Yeah. So it wants to like kill them,
Yeah.
and so that's why it's popping in her head. But she's always near there. She's always near England in that house.
Okay,
That's right. Okay,
yeah,
so I think that makes a little bit more sense.
that part
actually.
makes a little more sense. Yeah.
So they're all outside afterwards. Janet gives a big hug to Ed, because she like sees him as a father figure kind of right now.
Mm-hmm.
She says to Lorraine, and that's why all the hoax stuff stopped, because her dad, she says to Lorraine, "You said one person can change everything, but I got two, which is sweet. But give some credit to your mom too. She's standing right there."
Yeah.
It is revealed in the text that the mom lived in the house her whole life, and died
Till 2003.
in 2003 in the same chair that Bill did.
Okay, I like the tidbit that she died in the same spot, but they over-explained it. If you just say she died in a chair in the living room, we know as an
Right.
audience what you mean. But then they were like, in the exact same spot that Bill died. It's like, we know. You don't have to
I
tell
thought
us.
it was fine because it was like, that's creepy.
If
It's
they
fine.
just said she died in the chair, like, that's creepier.
I don't think so at all. I think it would just be like, okay, a chair.
No,
if you
you
say-
know what they were talking
No,
about.
No, if
I'm
you
with
say-
Matt.
I would
I'm with
find it
Matt on that one.
creepier
I'm with
the
Matt
chair
with that one.
because you have all the backstory. You're like, oh snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, it's like not explained.
But then it's explaining that she never got rid of that chair. It's not like she got new furniture. It's like that's what.
But they zoomed in on the chair while they were showing.
Yes,
the text.
they did.
But if they just say she died in a chair, it's still not clear if it's that chair.
That's
no,
not true.
No. They said the chair.
No, because she can get new furniture.
No, but they're saying the chair. They're not saying a chair. She's died.
But that's saying that she
chair
could
in the
just
living room.
die in a chair in the living room.
No, I was saying that
In the
like
chair.
the way they filmed it, like clearly they were talking about that chair.
And they could have just said the chair instead of
Okay,
saying
well,
the
I'm fine
same
with-
chair that
okay,
Bill
I
if
will
they
die
just-
on this hill.
If they just did that text without showing the chair, then it would have been better, maybe.
I
Or
think
vice
it's
versa.
like
No, I
It's
just
kind
think
of-
that they should have gotten rid of the last half of the text. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, in the chair because they said in the chair and then the same chair that's Bill Wilkins
Yeah.
sat in or whatever. That's kind of like one of those things where it's like, oh, it's creepy, and then you explain it, and it's like a slap to the face. Like, yeah, I fucking get it, movie. I
That's
understand.
how I felt. I was like, I'm not stupid. I got it.
I didn't mind it, but I think it could have been creepier if it just said the chair. In the
Oh yeah,
living
it's
room.
not
But I
something
didn't
where
mind
like
it.
I was like pissed at it. I was just like, no, dude, I get it. Like,
Yeah. It's really a throwaway scene at the end of the movie that I could care less about.
Sure. They cut, and Ed is back at his house and puts the Crooked Man box next to Rory's box, and you can see Annabelle behind. Lorraine puts on the song that Ed was singing earlier, and they dance, which was sweet, and no jump scare again, which I liked. And then we end hearing the real recording of Janet's interview, and respect to the real Janet for, that's a pretty impressive
Pretty
fake
good
voice. So.
Yeah. Ed and Lorraine dancing. I like that they ended it here because throughout the whole series, Ed and Lorraine's relationship is like the heart of this that like
Right.
makes this a franchise. So it was cool to end it like that. I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then I like all the images of the actors and people. They did the same thing. But then also, I really like that last image of the title on the creepy picture of the house that just said Conjuring 2. I
Yeah.
liked it.
Very creepy.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's the end. So any hit picks or nitpicks?
Ooh, I do have some. Unless someone else wants to go first.
You could go first. I'm gonna look through.
I felt that this movie was a little too long.
Okay.
It's I think horror movies work better if you're able to like a lot of them are like between an hour and a half and an hour 45, and I think that it's usually a good runtime. This is 2 hours and 14 minutes, and there were times where I was like, I feel like there were a couple of things that we could have trimmed down a little bit, at least get it to just like 2 hours. Like the first one's an hour 52, which I thought was gonna feel long, and it didn't really. This one felt a little long. It doesn't like drag super bad, but I did at points I was like, wow, this is kind of a longer movie. And one of my other nitpicks was I forgot one of the boy children existed, which we've talked about.
One of the boy children.
And then my hit pick was, even though I didn't know any of the cast, they put in great performances, so props
Yes,
to them.
they all did great
They were good.
performances.
Go ahead, Luke. Anything?
Yeah, Luke, you go.
Hit pick cinematography was really good. Just the swing set outside with all I liked that. Like
Yes.
where it would just show the outside shots of the house. And then my nitpick was the Crooked Man. He wasn't in it a lot, so I was just kind of like I didn't like it, but I didn't really hate it. So, but it was my least favorite part of the movie. So I guess
Of course.
maybe not a nitpick, but a flaw. I don't know.
Fun fact, the cinematographer of this movie was the cinematographer on Aquaman.
Wow.
Two totally
And-
different.
and
One is
42.
all-
That's why this.
42. 42
Yeah.
is good.
Sorry.
Tony, Andy.
2 nitpicks. 1, when Johnny goes into the kitchen and all the knives are on the table, they're all like big, fucking huge, scary ass knives. And I don't know anyone who owns that many huge knives. It'd be like a couple big ones and then like a bunch of smaller ones. It's
This
just
is
like
true.
strange that there's like 20 fucking the same sized huge big ass knives in that table. Nitpick number 1. Nitpick number 2 is Ed has proven that he could do exorcisms by himself now, and then he's still like he believes, but then he'll still like bend over backwards to get the church's approval. It's just strange to me.
Is it just out of goodwill, like he doesn't want to
Maybe.
alienate the church? Because I can
guess.
kind of see that.
I assume that. All right, and those are my 2.
Also, director of cinematography on Spider-Man.
Oh,
yeah.
that makes sense. Spider-Man is good.
All right, I put all mine in there throughout, so I don't have any more. Let's do our ratings combined. I had an 8.4. Luke,
7.7.
7.7. Matt,
7.5.
7.5. Tony, 6.
0.75.
And that gives us a combined rating of 7.59. Let me go look. So 7.59. Let me go find the rankings so far. So 7.59 fits in at number 5. So it's actually right underneath
Number
the Conjuring.
5.
It's right.
Wow.
It's right underneath the Conjuring 1, but it's a whole star underneath it. So we have Jojo Rabbit, Grand Budapest, Soul, The Conjuring 8.54, and then this one, The Conjuring 2 7.58. Then Hush, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man, Social Network, Thor Ragnarok, B movie, Zack Snyder's Justice League, The Phantom Menace, Hobbs and Shaw, Gone in 60 Seconds.
Do you think you guys are ever going to watch one that's going to be lower than Gone in 60 Seconds?
No.
I don't think so.
Don't think so. Maybe
I bet
Eraserhead.
Maybe.
I don't think it'd be hard to find one. I
No,
don't know
you
if
could
it's-
if you wanted to, but would you put
Yeah.
yourselves
Yeah.
through that?
All right.
Maybe.
Well, so next week we were going to be doing the Conjuring 3, but I forgot to tell you guys this. We're going to be, because next weekend we're recording Spider-Man 3. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man 3 is going to come out before it, because that week that comes out on June 4th, we would have to do that weekend, and that's kind of rushed, so I'm going to push it to the week after. So next week coming out will be Spider-Man 3, so make sure to watch that with us, because that's a fun one. Tony's excited for it.
Boy.
I'm excited for Spider-Man 3.
And then the
The
week after will be The Conjuring 3, and it'll be coming out June 16th. So watch Spider-Man 3 with us. Rate and review if you enjoyed this episode. You could also email a ton of hate mail at us for tonightswatchpodcast@gmail.com. And Luke, Swiss, roll us out.
Nice one. Very good jokes today. Very good.
TY.
And that was tonight's watch.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, we're good.
Good job, guys.
How fun.
I will say, I didn't see the trailer for Conjuring 3 until recently, like last week. And I
Yeah.
didn't see the extended trailer until Friday.
And
And like the long one,
Ah.
like in the movie theater. And it looks way better than I thought it would.
Me too.
Ooh, it looks good.
It looks very different. Very
Like
different.
I was
Very
expecting,
different.
like based on the title, I was like, this is gonna be like a weird phoning it in.
And no James Wan. No James
Yeah,
Wan. So.
and I was
Yeah.
like, this actually looks interesting and well filmed. So I was like, okay,
James
Yeah.
Wan is not doing this one.
Right.
no,
not.
right.
Which movie did he do when he gave up
Instead.
Furious 8?
He gave up Fear of Satan, did Conjuring 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he wanted
Damn.
to come back and do Conjuring again.
What's the last movie he did? Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Yes.
Aqua.
I still haven't seen that one,
Yeesh.
dude. I keep hearing people say they like that movie. What's up with that?
Maybe
It's-
they say they like it in a campy way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot. James Wan has a horror movie coming out in September of this year.
I forgot what it's called.
It's called Malignant, and there's no
Yeah.
description.
I
on
like that.
IMDb.
I
don't
like
know.
that.
Malignant.
Yeah,
Like a tumor.
Yeah, it just sounds like a tumor. I don't know what that means.
Alright, I have to go, guys.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's cool. I will
Alright.
see you guys next week for
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man
The one and
3.
Alright, don't
The one-
Bye, guys.